Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's AdventHealth 400 live commentary coverage for the NASCAR Cup Series at the Kansas Speedway here today. And as we begin our pre-race show, we're about to get into all things NASCAR leading up to the start of today's event. We have a lot to cover here. We've got predictions to go through. We've got Sporkle NASCAR trivia to get through first here in a couple of seconds. We've got to go through the Fantasy League and obviously the starting lineup leading up to the drop of the green flag in just over 30 minutes time. It's the first NASCAR live commentary stream for a NASCAR Cup Series race in 4 weeks on the channel. I was actually at the last two races, so there was a bunch of race highlight videos from the grandstands that were uploaded both last weekend from Texas Motor Speedway and the weekend before that at Talladega for the Cup races specifically. We've been live on the Saturdays, the Fridays leading up to the Cup Series race specifically, but again, it has been 4 weeks, and you ask 4 weeks, why? Well, we had an off week on Easter Sunday as well, so glad to be back with you guys here, especially if you don't necessarily tune into the Xfinity and Truck Series races throughout the course of the weekend. This might be the first time I've seen you in a month. I am still alive and better than yesterday, even on the allergy side of things. But you'll still have to bear with me because my voice still feels a little bit dry. Cotton, pollen, very high in my area of the country. But needless to say, thank you for tuning in, everyone. Matthew Dorter Bruno, you're the first in the chat down below. Usually just kind of wait out a couple minutes before we get into the trivia side of things. That's how we'll start this stream off. And then we'll get into the more important details when it comes to the predictions for the race when we get there. Today's quiz is going to be obviously Kansas Speedway oriented because that is where they're racing today. And for this race specifically, or this race track, it has only been in NASCAR since 2001. So I think we can go 100% on this quiz. We have to name every driver who has finished inside the top 10 in a NASCAR Cup Series points paying race at Kansas Speedway. It looks like it only goes to 2017 in the fall race of that season. So everything from 2018 in the spring to now is not going to be on this list. So that might make it a little bit trickier when trying to go through maybe some of the more modern drivers that are in the Cup Series today, because there really wasn't a lot of them that were consistently getting top 10s in this era of NASCAR. There are some that will be on this list, so we're not really going to be able to start with the current drivers, which is what I usually try to do strategy-wise when it comes to quizzes that are similar to the one we're doing here today. So we'll hope for the best, and we'll just get into this. We got 18 minutes to name all of them. I think I can get it done, honestly. And you guys can play along in the chat. I'll look at your answers, and we'll try to complete this together. We have gotten 100% twice on the season so far, so I definitely think we can do it again. So we got Logano, we got Busch. Just trying to name some active drivers here first. Denny Hamlin, Keselowski. Another active driver, Chase Elliott. Means it goes to 2017. Bill Elliott's obviously going to be on the list as well, with that being said. So Christopher Bell wouldn't be on here yet. Blaney might. Dave Blaney is. 2001. Curious to see if Ryan was on the list. Yeah, Ryan Blaney was on here a couple times as well. I should have known the third in 2017. Stat research that we had for the qualifying stream yesterday. All right. Almirola is part-time in the Xfinity series. Jimmy Johnson is part-time. Truex ran a race this year. I don't really know of any other active Stenhouse, maybe. I know AJ Allmendinger's on here. Allmendinger. Austin Dillon is also on here. All right. Then we got Busch. Trying to get the active drivers first. I don't really know how many more there would be. Byron wasn't in the Cup Series yet. Bowman probably isn't going to be on here. Oh, Alex Bowman is on here. Okay, 2016. Fall race. Had a top 10 filling in for Dale Jr. Glad I put him. Who else have we not picked yet? Buescher, maybe? Okay, Chris Buescher, 2017. Priest is not on here. I'm going to put Nemechek because I know he won here before. Just was thinking of active drivers. John Hunter came up. Eric Jones. Whoops. No, Eric Jones is not on the list. I wondered if 2017, in the 77 car, if he might have had a top 10. I know he did on several mile-and-a-half tracks in that season, but not Kansas, apparently. All right, we'll just start to throw the big names out here now. Stuart Gordon. We'll come back to it. Danica Patrick might be on here. Yep. I thought I remembered her getting a top 10. Sterling Marlin. Labonte. No. Oh, well, Bonnie's not on here. Neither of them. Terry or Bobby. That's surprising. Dale Jarrett. Earnhardt Jr. Casey Kane. Turn the chat back on my phone. Again, we're playing our NASCAR quiz as we do every NASCAR Cup Series live commentary stream in the pre-race. Anybody who's ever had a top 10 at Kansas in a Cup race. Rusty Wallace. Sadler. Ricky Rudd. McMurray. I didn't put Harvick yet. Got quite a few drivers who have won. Edwards. Kenseth. Biffle. Martin. I feel like I'm just knocking this out of the park right now. Got 199 of 240 already. Just thinking Roush, 2080 had it. Trevor Bayne. Let's go RCR Burton. Boyer. Yeah, 209. This might be the quickest 100% we've gotten. I haven't needed any help in the chat yet. I'm giving myself a big old pat on the back. Newman. See, this is all my lifetime, so I think that's why it makes Kansas easier, much easier, or Kansas Speedway much easier for me. Put Bobby Hamilton. Well, I got one more for 2001, 2002, 2003, one more. Could be the same driver. Johnny Benson? No. Casey Mears is on here a few times. This is a good track for Casey Mears. He had a top 10 in 05, 06, and 07. Riggs? No. All right, think back to 2003 again. Hmm. 219 out of 240. Got so many of them. There's still 21 names left, though. 11 minutes. We can get there. I did try Stenhouse already, but he was not on the list. I'd like to believe I have all the active drivers, but that's probably not the case. David Rudiman. McDowell was too recent. His only top 10 here came a couple of years ago. Michael Waltrip, maybe? Wow, okay, Mikey's not on here. Steve Park? Nope. 2002, third in 2003. Jeremy Mayfield? Well, that knocked out a few of them. That knocked out 02, 03, and one of the last two in 04. Still got 2001. Stu, welcome to the stream. I did like Talladega. Gotta like it enough to go back time and time again. One track I've been to more than Dega is my home track in Michigan. That's just because I lived within an hour and a half my whole life. All right, 2006. 2006, 8, 2009, 10. Ryan Vickers? Okay, that's 06. Jimmy Clements, welcome to the stream. I did try Johnny Benson already, but that's not it. Yeah, Johnny Benson's not on here. I thought he would have had one too. Frank Powers, welcome in. Just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to put Hornish for 2010 now. That was not it. Scott Speed. Those are. I'm probably thinking too hard. Thinking way too hard. 7th in 2001. That would have been in the fall. Was it Casey Atwood? No. I knew he started to get good finishes at the end of the season that year. They only ran here one time in the fall for the longest time. Which would have been during the chase through that era. Then they added the spring race in 2011. – 2001. Huh. Just try to get more of the modern ones because I have a couple of them from 2017 that I don't have yet. So maybe there are some active drivers that I wasn't thinking. Gotta look at the diecast. It's helped me in the past. Suarez? Ah, there we go. Daniel Suarez. All right. I saw that 19 car behind me for JGR. That was a Carl Edwards diecast, but it made me think of Daniel Suarez. Stanley colors. Because he would have been a rookie that season. Man, I thought this was going to be the quickest 100. We still got 14 to go. Robert Presley? Wow. Great pull. I really hope you didn't Google that. But yeah, Robert Presley had a top 10, 7th in 2001. 2004. Oh, man. I was wondering if Johnny Sauter ever had a top 10. Mike Bliss. Nope. What about Jack Sprague? 2004. Sorensen? I don't know. Oh, 2007 Sorensen, 7th. Okay. Got something out of it. How about Quapple? Nope. Travis Quapple not on the list. I do have the Burtons. I don't think Ward was on the list, but Jeff definitely was. Man, I felt super confident about getting 100%, and I'm still a dozen away with 5.5 minutes left. Runner up in 2014 behind Logano. Gosh, who was that? 2014 fall. John Andretti might be on here. Nope. This is a good guess in the chat. Jeff Green? Uh, See, I tried Labonte already, and neither Bobby or Terry had a top 10 at Kansas. I'm surprised that that's the case. I know they wouldn't have had many competitive years left, but still. That runner up in 2014, that's tough. Is Regan Smith on here? Oh, okay, there we go. Regan Smith, 7th. What year was that? 2012. Third in 2012. Kenza Truex were 1 2. Huh. No, Bodine's not on here. I'm stumped. I'm getting stumped already. Brendan Gaughan. Wow. Good pull. Good pull. 77 car, right? 2004. Yep, Brendan Gaughan. That would have been Penske. The 77 finished 10th. So now we got everything from 2008 on back. 2001 to 2008 it's all cleared up. So we got 2009 to 2017 yet. One more for 2017. There's got to be a name on here I haven't named that is going to take up a couple of them. I tried McDowell. So I was trying to think of who else drove for NWR, but I already got Vickers and Boyer and Truex. Waltrip wasn't on here. I thought maybe Eric Jones could have been the 2017 one. That wasn't it. It's not like Justin Allgaier or something for kicks and giggles there. Nope. No, there's no way DiBenedetto's on here. No. Oh, Larson. Oh my gosh. That was an active driver I was missing. Thank you for that. Oh my gosh. That would have been a bad miss. This is my pick to win the race today too. A little foreshadowing there on the prediction side. Still got 8 to go, just over a minute. Montoya? Uh, Hang on. Montoya's on here. Ambrose. There we go. Got a few more. I knocked 3 more off the list. 2 for Ambrose, 1 for Montoya. 5 to go. We only have 45 seconds. Oh, Paul Menard. Oh my gosh, we got it. He got 5 of them. Let's go. Oh my gosh. With 41 seconds to spare, we got it. Jimmy Clements coming in clutch with Paul Menard. I didn't think he had 5 of them. Wow, that's impressive. What years were the top 10s for Menard then? Were they all with RCR? 2013, he finished 10th, 7th in 2013, so top 10 in both 2013 races for Paul Menard. Trying to find the other three. So many names on here. Hard to scope out. There we go. I didn't think we were going to get it on one name. 9th in 2014. Paul Menard, pretty good at Kansas then. He had 5 top 10s. All right, well, we did get our third 100%. That was definitely the closest we've been to not getting it, but still getting it. I knew we were easily going to hit the average score, and I thought we were going to get 100% with the way we only had, what, like 20 names left with still 11 minutes to go, and then I was stumped there for a while. But we came in the clutch. Thank you, chat. Thank you for everybody playing along. Mike G, welcome to the stream. He's taking Kyle Larson as well. Yeah, good pick. Good pick. I'm not going to say I'll be shocked if anybody other than Larson, Blaney, or Hamlin win, but those are definitely the three favorites, and I think everybody else after that, you could throw a bunch of names in a hat and pull a random one out, but the three specifically, and I'm about to put them in my fantasy team before that closes out, so this will be the plug to join the NASCAR Fantasy League. If you are not already in, be sure to do so. I'll show you on NASCAR.com how you can get there. There will be a fantasy tab up on the top portion of the screen, which you can see right here. Fantasy. Click on it. You can also join on the NASCAR mobile app as well. Top left-hand corner of the screen, there'll be 3 bars. You'll click that. There'll be a live tab that opens. Fantasy Live is where you will want to pick. Now, this is my team from last week. I did not set my lineup, so in this week's portion of the prediction side of things, I will show you guys who I have on my team for this weekend. Kyle Larson, my number 1, so definitely going to keep him for the race win. Ryan Blaney is my number 2. Going to take Ryan Blaney this weekend. Best long run speed on any of the mile-and-a-half tracks so far this season, and he's coming off a top 3 last week as well. Larson was actually my pick to win at Texas while I was on the road last week, and he was up towards the front late. He's been awesome on the mile-and-a-half tracks with this next-gen car. He's led more laps on mile-and-a-halfs than any other driver. Denny Hamlin's already on my team from a week before. He got put in the garage when his car caught fire early, so I still have 7 usages for him. Definitely going to keep him in the lineup as well. Chris Buescher, I think, is a good dark horse pick today. Finished runner-up in the spring race last season. He actually led quite a few laps in both of the races at Kansas Speedway last year also. So going to take Chris Buescher. And then I don't want to use Byron just because I've used him so many times this year, and I do believe he's cooled off a bit from where he was earlier in the season. So I'm going to take him out, and I'm going to put a couple of those Toyota drivers, which I just subbed Reddick out when I put Chris Buescher in there. So we're going to take Tyler Reddick. He's a former Kansas winner. Christopher Bell, who hasn't won at Kansas, usually pretty good here also. So taking Christopher Bell. So stacking my lineup up this week. I got Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Christopher Bell, and Denny Hamlin. Again, KRC League is the name of the league. When you go to join, I'll put the name in the chat down below. KRC League. Free to join. And you got a chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR race if you're choosing the following season if you win the regular season and or playoff championship. Starting the pre-race ceremonies right now on the FS1 broadcast. I'll let you listen in live as we're moments away from the drop of the green flag.
We thank you, Heavenly Father, for this glorious day. Father, we thank you for this Mother's Day. We pray a special blessing upon each mother here. For those who might have lost a mother this year, we pray for your comfort. For those who long to be mothers, we pray for hope and for grace. For every driver, every pit crew, every race personnel, and every fan, may you bring us home safely at the end of this day. We pray these things in the matchless name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome from the United States Air Force Band of Mid-America, Staff Sergeant Derek Wilson. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed
the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land? And the home of the great.
All right, there you have it, the national anthem, and that means the command and fire engines will be on the other side of the Fox Sports 1 commercial break. So while we're waiting on that, we'll go through the starting lineup for today's AdventHealth 400 at Kansas Speedway. Two-time Kansas winner on the pole, Kyle Larson, his third pole of the season, most of any driver, first at the Kansas Speedway, and he is the defending winner of this race in what was the closest margin of victory in NASCAR history, 1/1000th of a second just a year ago. The guy who finished second is the guy who starts on the front row with him, Chris Buescher, who is going to look to seek revenge after finishing second to Larson yesterday in qualifying, second to Larson in the race a year ago, and again, has a good starting spot, good track record here. We'll see what he can do. In row number 2 will be two Toyotas, Christopher Bell and Tyler Reddick. Bell never a winner. He has finished his best as third a couple of times here. And Tyler Reddick, who is a former winner, he won the 2023 race in the fall. Joey Logano is a multi-time winner here at the Kansas Speedway, and Ty Gibbs finished fifth last fall. In row number 4 will be William Byron, who has not won at the racetrack but does have 8 top 10s in his last 11 tries. Daniel Suarez, who has just one career top 10 at Kansas Speedway. In row number 5 will be Chase Elliott alongside Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney has not won at this racetrack. His best finished third in 2017 with the Wood brothers, and Chase Elliott is a former winner. He last won with the Gen 6 car 2018 in the fall. In row number 6 will be the Spire Motorsports Chevys of Michael McDowell and Justin Haley. Row number 7 for Austin Cindric and four-time Kansas winner Denny Hamlin. He's got the most wins of any active driver at Kansas. He also has the longest top 10 streak at Kansas Speedway, 7 straight, 6 top 5s in that stretch, and a couple of wins. Bubba Wallace with Eric Jones, a couple more Toyotas line up in row 8. Jones's teammate on the inside of row 9 of John Hernimacek alongside second-year driver Zane Smith. Chase Briscoe with Austin Dillon will make up row number 10. Row 11 for Alex Bowman and Carson Hocevar. Hocevar, the Truck Series race winner last night, and Alex Bowman, who has the third longest streak of any driver to finish inside the top 10 consecutively at Kansas Speedway, second most to only that of his teammate Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin, who I mentioned just moments ago. And row number 12 behind them will be Todd Gillen and Noah Gregson. Row 13 for Riley Herbst and Ross Chastain. Chastain was the winner last fall at Kansas Speedway. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with Corey Heim in row number 14. This will be the first Cup start for Heim this season, fourth of his Cup career, and second at Kansas Speedway. Ty Dillon with Ryan Preece will line up in row 15. Row 16 will be Cole Custer and Jesse Love. Love making his third start of the season in that 33 for RCR. AJ Allmendinger with Shane Van Gisbergen in row number 17. Row 18 for Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski, couple former champions bringing up the rear of the field. Busch had hit the wall off of turn 4 in his qualifying lap yesterday, which has resulted in him having a bad run, and Keselowski just slow. And row number 18, rounding out the field. Now, I got to do that a couple times there. You can tell I'm rusty. I haven't done a Cup Series race live stream in a minute. Cody Ware and Josh Berry, row number 19. We'll round out the field here today. Berry also hit the wall in his qualifying lap in turns 3 and 4, just like Kyle Busch did. And riding up against the wall is going to be a common theme in this race. We're going to see many drivers do that. This is a multi-groove race track, so it's not necessarily the bread and butter and what you have to do to be fast at Kansas Speedway, but it's definitely one of the better options. We will see slide jobs. We will see a lot of slipping and sliding. Very warm temperatures at Kansas Speedway all weekend long. Track temp will be well over 110 degrees Yesterday during the truck race, it was 115 going into the nighttime skies. A little bit warmer than that now during the daytime for this Cup race. In the booth, per usual, Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, and Clint Boyer. Good to see Mike Joy back in the booth after missing practice and qualifying yesterday on Amazon Prime Video. And we are just a few minutes away from the drop of the green flag for today's AdventHealth 400. I was having to look back to see if this was a title sponsor for a race already this season, because I thought it was. It was the AdventHealth 400 at Atlanta earlier this year, because I was kind of thinking about it, and I was like, man, this sounds awfully familiar. I feel like this has been the title sponsor for a race already. Not the case. So we got AdventHealth, we've got AdventHealth, this one the AdventHealth 400. So I'll try not to fudge that during the stream. I didn't yesterday during practice and qualifying, surprisingly. Like I mentioned already, it's been 4 weeks since the last Cup Series live commentary stream, so I might have a little bit of rust. I was knocking it off there, rolling through the starting lineup, so hopefully when the race actually begins, everything will be back to normal. Obviously, our setup's back to go through the standings before the race. I'm going to wait until after they give the command to fire engines, because that should be coming up any moment, and then we'll go through the points. Top 10 is scrolling at the top of the screen with alongside a couple of other statistical categories for the top getters in those categories through the Cup Series.
Words in motorsports, some of our NASCAR moms.
Driver, start your engine!
So happy Mother's Day, Gay, and to Delana and Laura from all of us up here in the Fox booth, and to all the moms. Let's go racing.
The longest time we didn't have racing on Mother's Day in the NASCAR Cup Series. It was usually the Saturday night Darlington Raceway for a lot of my childhood. They would run the Southern 500 before they moved that back to Labor Day weekend, which is where that date had held the Southern 500 for many years before that. But needless to say, we're racing on Mother's Day again, and this year at the Kansas Speedway. We've seen this the last couple of seasons. Last year, closest finish in NASCAR history. Last night in the Craftsman Truck Series race, another classic finish between Carson Hocevar and Lane Riggs. Obviously, I know Lane Riggs ended up getting DQ'd in the post-race, but at the time, it was a spectacular finish. What will we see here today? We've seen some great, not only finishes, but just great races from start to finish at Kansas Speedway in the Cup Series in recent years. I'd say the spring race last season was the best race of the year last year. I'd say either that or Atlanta in the spring were probably the two best races, of my opinion, at least for me, calling the race to you guys right here on the channel. And then the year before that, the finish between Hamlin and Larson, and that whole entire spring race of 2023 was my favorite race of that season. Will this be my favorite race again for the third consecutive year? It could very well be. Kansas definitely turned into one of the better, if not the best, mile-and-a-half track on the circuit by way of just pure race quality. And I think we're going to see a very high racing quality throughout this 400-mile, 267-lap race today. All right, so after they have given the command to fire engines, last thing we have to go through before the drop of the green flag is how the season has gone so far. And again, it has been a couple of weeks since we have had a live commentary stream during the NASCAR Cup Series race. So where we left off from the last time we talked about this on at least a Sunday during the Cup Series race was the week before Easter after Bristol. Technically, it would have been before Bristol. So we've had 3 Cup races since the last time we have looked at this on the channel. A 13-point cushion is all William Byron has over Kyle Larson now. He had almost a full race worth of points ahead of second place just a couple weeks ago going into Talladega. 2 rough finishes in a row, though, for Willie B. Has still kept him in the points lead, but not that high above some of the other drivers chasing him from behind. Specifically, Kyle Larson, who had picked up his second win of the season within those last few weeks at Bristol a couple weeks back right before the Easter break. And then obviously had a great run last week at Texas with a top 5, led a bunch of laps in that race, especially in stage 3. Was in contention for the win. He starts on the pole today. He should get a lot of stage points, so we could see a new points leader by race end. Larson does lead in the statistical categories this season of laps led, top 10s, and top 5 finishes on the year. Byron is second most in the top 5s, tied for second at least, and he is also tied for second most in the top 10. So more stage points for Byron, really the difference maker overall between him and Larson being P1, P2, and really that 1 DNF for Larson to 0 for Byron could be a big factor there as well. 6 stage wins for Larson, most in the series, and now we jump to the other drivers further back in the point standings. Just over 1 full race worth behind. A very tight battle for third between Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, and Christopher Bell, all 3rd through 6th in points. And in 7th would be Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace 8th, Joey Logano 9th, and Alex Bowman rounding out the top 10. The drivers who are locked into the playoffs with a win so far this season, we have 7 of them of the Cup Series regulars who have scored a win or more this season. Christopher Bell still at 3, 2 wins apiece for Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson, and 1 win apiece for William Byron, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric, and Josh Berry. The drivers who are above the cutoff line without a win so far this season would include Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, then Ryan Blaney, Bubba Wallace, Alex Bowman, Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stenhouse is actually the last driver above the cutoff line right now on the playoff grid. He is 15th, obviously, on our driver standings, but because Josh Berry is below 16th in points with the win, he has the automatic bid for the playoffs, so that bumps Kyle Busch out. The distance between Busch and Stenhouse is 12 points coming into the race today for that final spot. Carson Hocevar is just behind them in the 18th spot in the playoff standings. Ryan Preece 19th, and then AJ Allmendinger would round out the top 20. AJ lost 4 positions in the standings after last week at Texas, but that 16 team has been good on 1.5-mile tracks this season before last week at Texas, so looking to have another solid day today, although he does start deep in the field. Pull the raw feed back up, and I got to get the chat back up on my phone as well. I had to log out for a quick second, so let me get back into there so I can see all you guys in the chat. Guys and gals, thanks for watching. Happy Mother's Day to any moms watching. And it's going to be a fun one here today. Should be fun at the racetrack to watch this as well. Great racing at the racetrack. The facility itself, well kept at Kansas Speedway. From the last and only time I was there back in 2022, I would imagine that would still be the same to this day about 3 years later. 2.5, because I was at the fall race of that season. We're back in action. You know, I was kind of thinking about it too with next week being the All-Star race. This is the only points-paying race on the channel for a live commentary Cup Series stream in a span of 5 weeks, with the 3 that we had off before this. They were off on Easter, and then at Dega, at Texas. Then you have this one today. This is the one, and then they have the All-Star race next weekend at North Wilkesboro. So non-points-paying race, but that will be on Sunday night next week. We will have, obviously, live commentary for that. And then we get to the Coke 600 at the end of the month the following week. Big month of May coming up here on the channel with the live commentary streams. We got a ton of it next weekend. I can't wait to bring that to you. We'll have the heat races on Saturday for the NASCAR Cup Series, practice qualifying, the pit road competition, as well as the truck race, all taking place Saturday afternoon into Saturday night. And then the All-Star Open and the All-Star Main Event will be 2 separate streams on Sunday. So we've got a double, probably a triple header on Saturday, double header Sunday. And then obviously we get to the following weekend. We're going to have a lot of racing again. We're going to have the Truck Series Friday night at Charlotte, Xfinity Series with the Cup Series practice qualifying doubleheader Saturday afternoon at Charlotte. And then, of course, the doubleheader Sunday with the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 right here on KRC. A lot of drivers dropping in the back of the field for the start of the race today. Brad Keselowski, Ty Dillon, Chase Briscoe, Josh Berry, Zane Smith, Ty Gibbs, and Shane Van Gisbergen all made unapproved adjustments to their cars following practice and or qualifying yesterday. Most of those drivers had flat tires in practice. Briscoe, Zane Smith, SVG, Ty Gibbs, Brad Keselowski, they all had flat tires at some point in that run. Mostly the left rear tires. So we'll have to see if that will be an issue today. Obviously, starting on too low of air pressures in practice, teams trying to get a gauge for maybe how low they could go with it. I don't think we're going to see as many tire issues in the race today, but we may still see them sporadically as we get about 15 to 20 laps into a run, which is where we saw those tires start to blow out in yesterday's practice session. And we only really saw that in the Cup Series, didn't see it in the truck event yesterday, not only the race last night, but also through their practice sessions. So Cup teams a little bit more on the edge when it comes to that. As a result, there was some damage to the underbody of a lot of those cars. They had to make those unapproved adjustments, and they'll be starting at the tail. Most of them were already starting there anyway. Ty Gibbs is the only driver who qualified up towards the front of the field that is actually dropping to the rear. He qualified 6th, but he'll be giving up that spot to start at the back. Our stage splits today will be 80, 85, and 102. Those are the same stage splits we've seen the last couple of years with the 1.5-mile, 400-mile race tracks on the, I should say the 1.5-mile race tracks with a 400-mile race length. That has been the stage splits, so no change there. And again, Kyle Larson is on the pole. And the field will be getting the 1-to-go signal this time by. Looks like Larson has elected the inside line for the start of the race. 81-degree air temperature, 127 track temp, 12 degrees warmer than what it was yesterday. Again, it is going to be hot and slick. Pit road speed 45 miles per hour, and these Cup cars on a green flag run for fuel purposes can go anywhere between 62 to 66 laps at length. First 2 stages, probably not going to see them try to push it that far. If we do get a lot of long green flag runs in this race today, that's where the strategy will come in. Most of those drivers would probably end up hitting around halfway in the stage, maybe some just before, just after. But if you're going to try to stretch the fuel window, maybe try to catch a caution at an opportune time, again, 62 to 66 laps is about as far as you could go. And they will have to pit for fuel and tire purposes in each of the 3 stages, of course. Let's have a fun day today. Oh, I know we're going to have a fun day today. It will definitely be a fun watch. Truck race was pretty solid yesterday, and I think we have a solid Cup race coming our way here today as well. 1.5-mile tracks have put on some great racing already this year, likes of Las Vegas, Homestead, Texas a week ago, and here we are at Kansas just 1 week later. Kyle Larson trying to go for his 3rd win of the season and trying to defend his championship of winning this race a year ago, with a guy who finished 2nd in that race starting 2nd to his outside. Larson launches through the restart zone. The green flag is in the air. We're underway in the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas. Mostly side by side into the first turn, 4 wide, a little bit further back in the middle of the pack, but they get sorted out relatively quick. A couple other drivers 3 wide in the top 10 and 4 wide again up off turn 2. Kyle Busch nearly gets sandwiched into Ross Chastain back there. Eric Jones slid up and nearly made contact with the 8 right in the middle of that hornet's nest. Kyle Larson will lead the opening lap of the race from the pole. He was well clear out of turn 2 on this opening lap. And he is still clear by several car lengths as the battle for 2nd is currently ongoing side by side still between Christopher Bell and Chris Buescher. Bell will now slide clear up off of turn 2 for that 2nd spot on Buescher. Side by side just behind them for 4th between Logano and Byron, before Byron has to duck in line on the outside behind Logano, middle of the back straightaway. Buescher's got another run after Christopher Bell at the end of the 2nd lap. Nowhere to go with it. All 3 manufacturers in the top 3. Chevy, Toyota, then Ford. Byron back alongside Logano on lap 3. He couldn't stay alongside of him down the back straightaway the last lap. This lap a little closer, but then by the end of that back straightaway entering turn 3, Logano was barely clear. Only for William Byron to drive it in extraordinarily deep down to the inside, hooked to the white line on the bottom of the racetrack, and he is clear by several car lengths off turn 4. Bubba Wallace throwing big blocks on his boss, Denny Hamlin, for 10th. A little bit further back, massive moves there by Wallace as he also pulls to the inside of Alex Bowman. Nope, not quite. Bowman's going to stay just in front of him. Top 5 at the end of lap 4 has Kyle Larson in the lead, Christopher Bell in second, Chris Buescher third, William Byron fourth, and Joey Logano in fifth. 6th through 10th has Tyler Reddick in 6th, Ryan Blaney 7th, Daniel Suarez 8th, Chase Elliott 9th, and Alex Bowman up to 10th. Bonus point obviously awarded to the Xfinity fastest lap of the race. 30.288 is the early going fastest lap for Larson. Well off of what the qualifying pace was for Kyle yesterday. Got down into the 33s for his pole lap, or sorry, 29 threes for his pole lap. Obviously trying to save a little bit on the tires in the early going of a run, just in case we do have a long green flag run at any point. Got to keep the tires underneath you. There is tire wear at Kansas Speedway, maybe not to the extent that what we saw at Homestead on that 1.5 miles. A lot more than what we'll see from Texas a week ago. Kind of a middle point, if you will, between those two tracks. Caution is out for the first time already. AJ Allmendinger. Damage around the left front fender of his race car and smoke out of the back.
But so I didn't see blue smoke at that. It was almost like it was water.
Look, it did. It looked more white than blue. I'm sure it was white, as if it was coolant.
Well, it's been a miserable weekend for that 16 car. They've definitely had some trouble getting their car going up to the speed that we've been accustomed to the last few weeks.
Well, this will become another meme this week of we've elected a pope, white smoke, and he's from the Midwest.
Big time.
Of Leo the 14th.
Bad neck.
All right, so AJ Allmendinger, puffy smoke, bringing out the first caution of the race today. Just got up off the exit of turn 4. Looked like he had a little damage on the fender on the left front, but that seemed to not be exactly where the smoke was coming from. It might be an issue that could be terminal for AJ Allmendinger in just what was lap 7 of the race at the time of the caution. AJ drops all the way back to last. And definitely going to be an early exit if he can't continue. I don't think we're going to see any pit stops this early in the race. Only 7 green flag laps on the tires. I'd be shocked if we end up seeing any pit stops this early. Patrick Shadley, welcome into the stream. If you were not tuned in during any of the live commentary streams yesterday, my allergies have been hitting me a ton the last couple of days, so if my voice sounds a little bit different, especially if we get closer to the end of this thing here today, bear with me. Might have to step away to blow my nose away from the mic at various times as well. I did a pretty good job of not doing that too much yesterday, and I will say I'm a little bit better as the day has gone on today than what it was throughout the night yesterday for the truck race specifically. Ashton Smeekle, welcome to the stream, excuse me. Ryan Blaney for the win. Yeah, he was my number 2. I mentioned in the pre-race, my top 3, I had Larson for the win. Blaney was my second best pick for the win. Hamlin was third. Hamlin hasn't shown the speed on the 1.5 mile tracks that Larson and Blaney have this year, but his track record at Kansas is just so good not to consider him, especially with this next-gen car. And as for Larson and Blaney, they've definitely been the best on the 1.5 mile tracks this season. Even though Blaney hasn't won one yet, he's had the best long-run speed easily on last week. He was closing down Kyle Larson pretty quickly in that final stage leading into the green flag pit stops, in which the caution came out right in the middle of which those two hadn't made a stop yet, so they were able to pit during the caution, cycle out towards the front of the field, and neither of them were able to get the win. It was Joey Logano on multiple late race restarts, gain a spot or two at a time until he got to the lead on the final one. second to last one, really, getting by Michael McDowell and held off his teammate Ryan Blaney on the final restart. Ross Chastain getting to second on the final laps as well for Joey Logano to get his first win of the season. I mean, I'm feeling a little bit run down. I've woken myself up the closer I got to the start of the stream, which is good. I almost fell asleep about an hour and a half before the start of it. So, definitely been tired.
Caution of lap 7.
But I feel good
Alex Bowman
otherwise.
lost a bit from 9th, and several others joined him. Larry, let's talk strategy.
Yeah, this is still outside the fuel window right here. Remember, it's about 65 laps. They pitted at lap 8. I'll never rule out that you can't make it, though. But some other strategy, 4 tires is the way to go. But don't be afraid to roll the dice, change just 2 tires, especially late in the stage or in the race. Split the stages in half, possibly come in a few laps earlier, take advantage of those 4 fresh tires. And this is the theme of 2025. Don't beat yourself with mistakes on pit road. 11 pit road speeding penalties at Texas. 37 combined here in the 6 races with the Gen 7 car. That's the most of all mile-and-a-half tracks.
But it's also right in line with the theme of 25. I like what you said right there. Get yourself differentiated with the rest of the pack. Do something different, and you never know, it might play right in your hand.
And on this restart, you will feel like you have a huge advantage because of the fresh tires being on the car. Used tires at a restart here are really tough, especially when the pack is so congested like it is here at Kansas.
Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell.
All right, pace car heads to pit road. Larson-Bell, that rivalry continues at least for the next restart. They're both on the front row. Larson on the inside again as he was the initial start of the race. Lap 11, green flag back in the air. Both of them got pretty good launches. Didn't even need a push from behind by Buescher or Byron from row 2. Cindric up the middle 3 wide. A few other rows 3 wide further back just outside the top 10. Christopher Bell still hanging on strong as of right now. Larson on the inside of Bell into turn 3. Flatter entry on the bottom of the track for Larson. And Bell's going to got him a little bit of a break as he'll slide up, take his line away, and Larson holds on to the lead. Lifting in the later portion of turns 3 and 4 allowed for Chris Buescher to get to the back bumper of the 20 now, and they'll battle side by side for second through turns 1 and 2. Buescher to the bottom of the track, Bell a little wider. And up near the wall, but in that middle groove, about a lane lower than Larson. Now Bell about a lane higher than Larson. Larson runs the middle. Bell had to change his line at the last second to keep himself out from the dirty air of that 5 car in front of him, and Buescher nearly gets back to the inside again. It is a mess through the middle of the pack right now, 2 and 3 wide. A lot of lane changing going on. Denny Hamlin continues to free fall in the running order. A bad initial start, a bad restart. Hamlin back to 27th after starting inside the top 10. Kyle Busch is already up 11 positions since the last restart, up to 24th. Remember, he started the race back in 35th. And Ty Gibbs had to drop to the rear for the start of the race today after qualifying 6th yesterday. He's up 7 spots from the restart and is also just outside the top 20. Chase Elliott, Austin Cindric, side-by-side battle for 8th. Elliott will take that away from Cindric on the outside lane. Ryan Blaney's up inside the top 5 for the first time today as well, kind of sneakily getting up through there on the last restart. He began the day in 10th. Carson Hocevar in the top 10 for the first time, as well as he battles Tyler Reddick. Again, Hocevar winning the Truck Series race yesterday at the Kansas Speedway, trying to get the weekend sweep. Xfinity Series was off this week, so it'd be a 2-race sweep, but it is possible he won the first one. Hamlin now back to 32nd as problems continue for the 11. I get maybe wanting to conserve your tires earlier in the run, but maybe he's conserving them a little too much. And I think that car is just not handling the way he needs it to. He's probably in dire need for another quick caution so he can make an adjustment. Otherwise, he's going to have to tough it out to the end of the stage. Being that far back in the running order, if we go green to the end of the stage, you can risk going a lap down at some point in time. Again, Hamlin back in 30th. Got a couple spots back on Nemechek and Dillon that last lap. Ty Dillon specifically. He's got another one of his teammates, Chase Briscoe, had to drop to the rear of the field at the start of the race, still outside the top 30 as well, while his teammate Christopher Bell is up in second, and Ty Gibbs has been on the move since the start of the race from the rear to 21st. Speaking of on the move, Chase Elliott is on the move, makes up another spot on Joey Logano. It's been just over a calendar year since Elliott's last win in the NASCAR Cup Series, Texas, a year ago in the spring. Gets by two of the Penske blue ovals. Oh, trouble nearly off of turn 4. Contact between Josh Berry and Carson Hocevar. That 77 car was all sorts of sideways. Same for the 21. Both of them were down towards the apron on the middle of the front stretch trying to catch their machines. And somehow, some way, they both keep it in the right direction and we stay green. Gonna need a replay to see exactly what happened there. We caught the tail end of it, and that 77 car is sideways big time. Somehow Josh Berry kept his momentum up. It looked like they made contact with each other. I almost wonder if maybe Hocevar broke loose and then Berry was just chasing his car to the inside to get around him after he had a run off of turn 4. Because he was able to pass the 60 and the 45 still. Reddick was on the top side 3 wide with Hocevar in the middle and Berry down low when the camera panned to that battle. And then as soon as they panned, the 77 was breaking loose and in a hurry. Brad Keselowski, after starting at the rear of the field, is up to 20th as well. We'll keep an eye on him. He's still in search for his first top 10 of the season. Larson's lead is a 1.5 seconds ahead of Christopher Bell at the front of the field. He's got 2 seconds to Chris Buescher in third, 2.4 seconds to William Byron in fourth, and 2.6 seconds back to the 5th place car of Ryan Blaney. 20 laps complete out of 80 in stage 1. And out of 267 in total in this 400-mile race today at Kansas. Emo Gene Blevins, welcome into the stream. John Barber, Chris Davis, welcome in. Andrew, welcome to the stream. Audio is quieter than yesterday. I'm not sure why that is. The volumes are still the same. Try to turn it up a little bit more. Hopefully that's a little better for you guys. My mic was peaking for some reason yesterday at times when I had it up all the way, so I had to turn it down. So I left it turned down, so that might have been the difference there. Maybe it just wasn't peaking. Full screen commercial break during green flag action for the first time on the FS1 broadcast today, so we'll go through the full field running order. Lap 23 of 80 now. Kyle Larson's led every lap from the pole so far of those first 23. His lead is still 1.4 seconds over Christopher Bell. And then in third place is still Chris Buescher, William Byron fourth, and Ryan Blaney rounding out the top 5 as mentioned a little bit ago. In 6th is Bubba Wallace and Chase Elliott 7th, Joey Logano 8th, Austin Cindric 9th, and Ryan Preece is up to 10th. In 11th for Josh Berry, 12th for Alex Bowman, Carson Hocevar 13th, Tyler Reddick 14th, and 15th is Austin Dillon. Kyle Busch 16th, Ty Gibbs 17th, 18th for Zane Smith, Michael McDowell 19th, and Brad Keselowski 20th. 21st for Ross Chastain, Justin Haley 22nd, Eric Jones 23rd, 24th, Noah Gragson, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is 25th. Chase Briscoe is 26th, 27th for Denny Hamlin, Daniel Suarez 28th, Ty Dillon 29th, and Jesse Love 30th. Ty Gillen 31st, 32nd Cole Custer, Shane Van Gisbergen 33rd, Riley Herbst 34th, 35th Corey Heim, Jonathan Nemechek 36th, Cody Ware 37th, and AJ Allmendinger 38th. And AJ did have an engine failure, so that is the reason for him being out of the race and the only driver also off the lead lap. Joe Rochester, welcome to the stream. Also go Blaney. There you go. Finished the honeydew list. Earned the rest of the afternoon to enjoy your stream. There we go. Appreciate that, John. If there's any day in particular to listen to or have to do a to-do list that the wife has set out to do, it would be on Mother's Day today. Still no lead changes. Only 3 laps are spent under the yellow, which was very quick for when AJ Allmendinger blew the engine. There's possible fluid on the racetrack was the cause of the yellow following the engine failure. It's on the bottom line of the racing surface through the tri-oval. Quick little speedy dry repair there, and everything's been good to go since. And the Coca-Cola 600, next points race on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule, and that will be the first race on Amazon Prime Video. Practice and qualifying for most of the season has been taking place on Amazon Prime Video, but now they'll have some racing going on here in a few weeks. FS1 having their final points paying race today, but also they will have all coverage next week at North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race.
And keep driving forward. Since the restart, Kyle Busch plus 21 spots. He's up to 15. Ty Gibbs up 18. Ryan Preece, Zane Smith, and Alex Baldwin among the big movers. Josh?
Yeah, and for the 60th Ryan Preece, I just remember today, he said, I wasn't worried about qualifying 30th because I knew for practice we had a very strong car, a car that can handle well, and a car with speed. And he said, I used to not like mile and a half, but since coming to RFK, I've been really excited coming to these racetracks. I know we have something to compete with, and we're seeing that earlier as he's one of the biggest movers so far today, Regan.
Josh Christopher Bell running in second place right now behind Kyle Larson. Turn update on the cars. It's a little bit too tight in turns 3 and 4. Each of them, Stevens. It is very similar to how it was yesterday, but something to keep an eye out for today, guys. I had a number of crew chiefs tell me they wanted to be tight on the front side of runs so that it would balance out about right in the middle runs and not be too loose at the end. And there's a lot of concern about how do you set up for a short run at the end of the race versus potentially a long run. So right now, pretty good for Christopher Bell.
Regan, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I've been watching these lap times, and he is that one they matched, but he was 2/10 faster. He's running the leader down Larson. This car is coming on strong on a long run, Kevin. We have documented this time and time again with the 5 car in particular. On these long runs, he has a tendency to burn the right rear off of it.
Yeah, we like to joke it's Kyle Larson against his right rear tire, and how does he manage that throughout the day? Christopher Bell and those Joe Gibbs racing cars are typically pretty good on the long runs. That's always what makes Denny Hamlin so good at this particular racetrack. So as we see this run go on, how does Larson's car fall off compared to Christopher Bell's? And right now, it looks like Bell's starting to make up some ground.
So we're 31 laps in. The first 8 drivers did not come to pit road on that first caution today, Larry. When might we expect them?
Well, Mike, go back to the Larry Mack strategy. Splitting the stage in half is 40 laps a run. We didn't run 4 caution laps, but based on talking to a lot of people yesterday in the garage area, I'm thinking about the next 5 to 6, 7 laps. They'll be coming a little earlier than that lap 40 mark, trying to get advantage of those 4 fresh tires.
Well, we see the advantage. You look over the biggest movers. Who were they? Those guys that pitted. Busch up 21 spots, ladies and gentlemen. Gibbs 20. Zane Smith behind them 20 spots. Preece 17. These guys are moving to the front.
Yeah, it looked like Gibbs. I don't know if he got tight or something right there off of turn 4, but definitely checked him up a little bit. But he's been making his way towards the front there with Kyle Busch right in tow.
Well, as I've been watching, trying to pay attention to those cars that stayed out. Ross Chastain, he is looking very tight off the floor. These guys are needing a pit stop, needing 4 fresh Goodyears.
Yeah, we heard Larry talk about Tyler Reddick complaining about the seams. You see Austin Cindric kind of splitting that top seam right there on board with Reddick. He's on the bottom of the racetrack. So you want to be in between those 2 seams. I always found that in turns 3 and 4, you could enter below the seam and then cross that whole seam, but I never liked to actually split the seam for very long. This looks more like where we expect Tyler Reddick right here, up against the fence.
But he's found that fence once off the floor pretty early in the race.
And pit stops are the order of the day for some of those drivers who did not come in.
Here they come.
At the first caution play.
Like Chastain, Eric Jones.
and McDowell. Scheduled pit stops under green.
Well, just like Larry was saying, he expected some of these guys to start coming a little bit earlier than what we had originally talked about. And here they all come down pit road. Bubba Wallace on pit road.
Josh Berry, Austin Dillon.
And it looks like everybody's set up to take 4 tires and feet. Except for this looks like a 2-tire stop for Josh Berry. Nope, they do come around. They're going to do all 4.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the thing on these green flag pit stops. You're going to want to take 4 tires because you're expecting it to finish out the second half of this run.
Ryan Priest is away. He's done. John Hunter Nemechek coming in. Chris Busher is in. Austin Cindric.
I think Busher, Logano, those guys that were closer to the front, those guys are going to pull these leaders in soon.
Yeah, once you see a car like Chris Busher running that far towards the front, I think Kyle Larson, he had a big enough lead and a little bit of a wait and see game and not lose any positions on the racetrack. That'll give him a little bit of an advantage over these guys that are already on pit road.
Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Carson Hocevar. Pit road, there's Tyler Reddick.
Larry, you could probably afford to.
What I did see in this race a year ago, like Tyler Reddick in the 45, and I know he's already made his stop, they elected to split it right in half. It looked a little bleak in the beginning, but the net gain was good at the end of the second run there.
Now you got your third place car, William Byron, on pit road. I bet you see this 5 car looking to the inside.
Brexton's made his stop. And so just the top 3 cars, Larson, Bell, and Blaney, still on the racetrack along with the 45. Let's go to pit road.
It's like William Byron really got me yesterday. Practice, they hardly touched it. His crew chief told me so far in this race, just a little bit 3 and 4. You saw them just come in. They took 4 tires, but all seems to be good right now.
Not so good for Bubba Wallace. Equipment interference will cause him to have to do a trip down pit road at pit road speed as a penalty as Ron Blaney comes in.
Costly error into these green flag stops.
Oh, there's a look at it.
There come your leaders, Mike. Larson and Bell. No advantage to going further than 40 laps.
There is an advantage to that second place. Christopher Bell being that close to Larson. You can use him as a gauge coming on a pit road. Gained a lot of speed on him on the entrance of pit road.
Stenhouse in as well. Regan.
It's a bit of a game of cat and mouse there. The 20 car, as soon as they knew the 5 car was going to pit, they immediately decided to pit and come this time as well. That's when the 20 car, about 2 laps ago, finally said it was starting to free up a little bit for Christopher Bell. And the 5 at Kyle Larson actually needs help with turn off of turn 4. One of the few cars I heard that was tight at that point.
All right, Cole Custer in as well. Now, he was in at lap 8, along with the cars that stopped at the first caution.
Getting off this pit road, Clint, we know that you can gain or lose a whole bunch of speed on the acceleration piece of the exit of pit road right here.
That's why you couldn't wait too long. Byron just passed Bell. It was a third place car right on the heels of the leader, Larson.
Well,
what was the leader?
Well, you see that gap from Kyle Larson to Christopher Bell also was a little bit wider than it was when he pitted. So definitely put William Byron in between him and the 20.
Jesse Love making his 3rd start in the Cup Series. Drove through too many pit boxes on entry, so he'll have to do a pass down the pit road.
Rookie mistake.
At reduced speed. Now here's Bowman, who was also in at lap 8, coming back in.
Yeah, I think these guys, they some of those guys that were in the back wasted a set of tires to try to get themselves track position. Now we hear Ricky Stenhouse over the wall too soon. So these pit road penalties keep piling up. We talked about how many speeding penalties there were here at Kansas, but it's definitely going to be one of those days where we see a lot of trouble on pit road.
I was going to give Larson fits here, trying to hold on to this lap. Does not want to go another lap down. That may give Byron an opportunity. He's going to try to do everything he can do to stay in that mirror and not let him to his outside. You see him moving up in front of him. Going to get that car wide. That's going to slow Kyle Larson down.
Kyle Busch comes to pit road here at lap 43. The first stage is 80 laps duration. Denny Hamlin cycles through to the lead. The top 6 cars have not been on pit road since lap 8.
All right, so there you have it. Still waiting on the top 6 cars to hit pit road, that being Denny Hamlin in the race lead, Chase Briscoe in second, Todd Gilliland in third, Ty Dillon fourth, Riley Herbst fifth, and Cole Custer in the 6th place spot. In 7th is Kyle Busch, who I believe is on pit road currently, and Kyle Larson is in 8th, the first on the racetrack of those that have hit pit road. About half a second behind him is William Byron in 9th, and then Christopher Bell rounding out the top 10. So that's the top 10 in the running order. Just past halfway through stage 1. Our only caution was the A.J. Allmendinger engine failure back on lap 7. We have about 34 laps to go in stage 2. Ty Dillon will consume the race lead now during green flag action. A few more drivers at the front of the field have just hit pit road, including our race leader at the time of the commercial break, Denny Hamlin. So now only Ty Dillon, Riley Herbst, and Cole Custer have to pit. And then 6 seconds off the lead is Kyle Larson. During the green flag pit stops, we've seen 4 lead changes. We're going to have a 5th once Kyle Larson does get back to the lead, maybe more so before that if Dillon, Herbst, or Custer don't pit at the same time. They're going to stay out as long as they possibly can. They can still probably go about another 20 laps on fuel. And Larson is 6 seconds off of the current race leader, Ty Dillon. We'll take our first break of the race here, listening live on KRC to the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas. Yeah, Ethan Chua, Hurricane MK, welcome to the stream. When is the gaming coming back? If not this week, it will the following week. We'll be back on the gaming side of things during the week. Pretty much at this point, it's whenever my allergies calm down. So it's like a day-to-day thing since I came back from vacation. Hate stepping away from the camera as many times as I have to, and it's tougher with the gaming side of things because I have to pause the game. It's too much of a hassle. 45 votes, though, have been casted in the first hour of the poll being up. Asked you who you think is going to win at Kansas. Kyle Larson, 47% of the votes, is leading the way. He's led pretty much every lap outside of the green flag pit stops. We've seen a couple other drivers lead, but it's been all Larson here in stage 1 from the poll. 22% saying somebody other than Blaney, Larson, or Hamlin, who were my personal top 3. And then Hamlin at 16%, same for Ryan Blaney. But collectively, it seems like most of us taking Kyle Larson, including myself. Larson is back in the lead now post-commercial break as he takes it away from Ty Dillon. Dillon still has yet to hit pit road. Herbst has fallen to 5th, also has to pit. They're the only 2 drivers that have not made a green flag stop yet in stage 1. The gap between Larson and Byron from 1st, and now Byron making it up to 2nd. Heading into turn 1, he gets by Ty Dillon. The gap is about a second and a half.
And they make it. So they pitted with 72 to go. We went back racing with 70 to go. I'm looking at their pace right now. Low 33s, mid 33s. That pace, they should be able to make it. If they can't make it, I have no idea what they're doing right now, unless they're just trying to bank on a caution car.
Well, that didn't make it off of turn 2 right there, but even if they do make it, we're going to lose a lot of spots here. I don't know that it's going to be a net gain anyway.
Well,
Way off the pace.
It's that hope is a bad strategy. I think that's the way it's probably going to work out this time.
Gotten me through many years in life. Go for it.
Well, one of them got run over as other drivers were trying to make their way to the front. So they are 2 seconds off pace. Well, right now, Ty Dillon is, but he's in 4th place with 30 laps to go in the stage. Going to be doubtful for him to hold on to a points-paying position, points to the top 10. But he may end up in a better shape than what he would have, and he'll have an extra set of tires there in the pit. So let's talk points, as we'll give stage points and a playoff point to the stage winner. And as we race to the playoffs after race number 26, these drivers have wins, and it's win and you're in. We average 13 regular season winners. Now, most points above the bubble by non-winners. These fellows are in a pretty safe position for now, but it's not over. Look at that cut line below Ricky Stenhouse. Kyle Busch only 12 away, but with 20 points, minus 20 on back. Only one driver has ever come out of that group and made the playoffs.
Well, you see a big hit like Clint just highlighted right there. AJ Allmendinger took a big hit. Michael McDowell last week took a big hit at the end of those races. So
And then
points matter.
flip side of that, Ricky Stenhouse moved into the playoff picture with a great finish last week in Texas. He is struggling today. This is going to be a battle right down to the end, the double picture of the playoffs. So important with a lot of good teams involved.
Every point matters. Now, stage points by drivers who have not been to victory lane. Wallace leads that list. Ryan Blaney, they have capitalized. So have Reddick and Bowman. Been important for Chase Elliott as well.
Yeah, but Bubba Wallace, I mean, those guys have qualified well, put themselves up in the front, had a penalty today. He's now 2 laps down. So it's been a tough start to this race for the 23 car with all the circumstances that he's had.
One update on 22 of Joey Logano. During that first run, that car was just way too loose for him, hammered the vibrations at the end of the run. When they came into the pit, he got 4 new tires. They told him the tires weren't good, but the balance still not great. That's still loose. Joey playing a very loose car.
How about the run for the 6-car? Brett Keselowski so far today started 36 all the way up to 15th right now. And the good news for crew chief Jeremy Mullins is Brad is very pleased inside of the car with how it's driving, what it's doing at the racetrack. And keep in mind, this is a team that had trouble yesterday with the tire going down, but they had a lot of confidence when that went down. Brad himself did, and the team told me today they felt like they could pass their way towards the front and not have to rely on strategy. So far, that's working.
Well, he is at the top of the list of drivers who need a great day and past champions who need to vault in the top 25 in points.
I think he's in at the must-win stage, Kevin.
I agree. I think that the 6-car Brad, a lot of talent behind the wheel, a lot of leadership. But I think that with the way that this is all gone and as far behind as they are from that 16th position, I mean, they're going to have some pretty miraculous stage points and if they don't win.
So of the drivers who have made 2 pit stops, only one is up in the top 10, and that's Alex Bowman in 7th place, 11 seconds off the lead. 2 Chevys up front, and they're Hendrick cars, Larson and Byron. Then Bell's Toyota in 3rd, and the first 4 is Blaney in 5th.
All right, we'll go through the full field leaderboard yet again here. Lap 59 of 80 in stage 1. Kyle Larson is the race leader. William Byron in 2nd. Christopher Bell is 3rd. Chase Elliott 4th. And 5th is Ryan Blaney. 6th is Austin Cindric. Alex Bowman 7th. Chris Buescher 8th. Ty Dillon 9th, who still hasn't hit pit road. And Ryan Preece rounds out the top 10. Joey Logano in 11th. Josh Berry 12th. Riley Herbst 13th. Also hasn't hit the pits yet under green. Justin Haley 14th. Brad Keselowski 15th. And Tyler Reddick 16th. 17th for Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar in 18th, 19th for Michael McDowell, and Noah Gragson in 20th. Kyle Busch is 21st, 22nd for Denny Hamlin, Ty Gibbs 23rd, Ross Chastain 24th, and Austin Dillon 25th. Daniel Suarez 26th, Eric Jones 27th, John Hunter Nemechek 28th is the last car currently on the lead lap. Shane Van Gisbergen in 29th, and Todd Gilliland is 30th. Chase Briscoe 31st, Bubba Wallace 32nd, Cole Custer 33rd. Corey Hive 34th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 35th, Jesse Love in 36th, Cody Ware 37th, and AJ Allmendinger, again the only driver out of the race, 38th. So that rounds out the full 38 car field. Most positions gained from the restart. That does not include the pit strategies by Ty Dillon and Riley Herbst of not hitting pit road yet. 22 spots gained for Zane Smith specifically since the lap 11 restart. 15 for Alex Bowman up in the top 10, and Ryan Preece in the top 10 has gained 18 spots. Big story following the green flag pit stops. We had multiple penalties by several drivers. Jesse Love had a penalty for driving through too many pit boxes. And I do believe Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had a penalty with that 47 team as well. Was that over the wall too soon? If I remember correctly. And then equipment interference penalty for Bubba Wallace. And the 2311 Toyota has dropped him to a lap down in 32nd. Currently, Shane Van Gisbergen in 29th would be in the free pass position. Not sure that will stay the same to the end of the stage, though. As John Hunter Nemechek, race-wise, is within a second of our race leader And Larson's got a 2.8 second lead over William Byron and growing still in the later portion of stage one, excuse me. Conserving tires not Larson's DNA. No, it is not. He's been better at it, though, I will say, as the years go by.
By 3 seconds with 18 to go in stage one. In 2 weeks, he'll be in the Indianapolis 500 on Fox. So here's a little trivia. Elio Castroneves is looking to become the first 5-time winner of the 500. Besides Elio, 3 other legends have won the Indy 500 4 times. Can you name them?
AJ Foyt, Mario Andretti, and Al Unser.
Pierce is one of them.
Well, he's from your hometown, of course.
Right.
Yes.
I know this guy right here, our NASCAR gentleman, Kyle Larson. That Kyle is going to try his hand, and I think he can do it. He got so close. I was so excited last year watching him do that.
Can I pay this off, please? Al Unser.
Rick Mears, sorry. What did I say? I said Mario Andretti. He's only got 1, I think.
What a cool looking picture. Look at that right there, huh? Indy 500 on Fox in 2 weeks. Whoops. Here at Kansas. William Byron is edging into Kyle Larson's lead. Since we came back from break, he's cut it by half a second. Christopher Bell in 3rd. Elliott 4th. Blaney, the first 4, in 5th. And the 2 drivers that were trying to stretch it without an extra stop, Riley Herbst has now gone a lap down, while Ty Dillon remains on the lead lap, but back in 24th. He's Ty Reddick, 3rd of the Toyotas now that Denny Hamlin has gone by him. Reddick in 16th right now.
Byron is hit. Oh, I think he might have a right rear flat, Kevin.
Well, that's what we talked about.
Round it goes. With right side damage. Still green. No debris, no caution.
Well, that's what we talked about. The teams are really going to push these rear air pressures because the lower you can get those tires, the more grip that car is going to make from being lower to the ground and just mechanical grip in general. So now that they're on a green flag run, that's going to be much tougher on those air pressures than all the caution laps and things that we had at the beginning of the race.
I think it was definitely down, not because of what he got in the wall.
Well, he did a nice job of getting that car under control into pit road.
You see how slow he's going all of a sudden? I think he's feeling it out there.
Yeah.
So we stay green. Here's Byron's radio just before he got into the wall. So he ran 27 laps prior to that happening after the pit stop.
Yeah, so what happens when you let that pressure down? That's why we're talking about you got to be really careful with the car and how fast you go at the beginning, because when the car goes faster, it travels more, it hits those stops more. That puts more load in those tires, and I think they probably just got a little too aggressive right there, Clint.
We have found the line.
Well, we found it a lot yesterday.
More left sides than right yesterday.
We did. Both pretty effective.
Saw both though.
Yeah, both you want the air as low as possible.
Tyler Reddick has dropped back a spot. Ouch.
Oh, that one's going to cost us money.
Yes, that was our camera.
Loose.
Oh, really loose. Kyle Busch moving up. He's at 14th.
Yeah, that 8 car has been pretty steady all day today.
Larry Mack.
Yeah, let's go back to that right rear tire on William Byron, the 23 car. Like you mentioned, he had run 27 to 28 laps. I just want to help our viewer understand, if low air pressure is the culprit, How did it go that long? What happens? It gets damaged in the first lap or two when it's really low on that air pressure, but it won't rear its head to own into a run as we just saw.
And here's Byron's radio as that was happening.
Well, that's important for them to know because they want to know if they need to put more air back in the tire, and they got to make an adjustment to those air pressures to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
So Byron is now one lap down. He did a great job keeping that car back straight. Got it. You saw him spin right there, but he got it gathered up and saved himself a lap. He's only one lap down. That's very important.
And he knew that he had a problem about halfway down the back straightaway. He slowed that car down and actually kept himself up next to the wall so that it didn't spin out. It actually spun out on pit road when he came in, but he saved himself from spinning out on the racetrack.
We have fixed this 11 car. Denny Hamlin is moving in the front and doing it in a hurry. Picking him up.
Wow, up to 10th already.
As he passes Josh Berry, that'll put him into position for stage points.
Yeah, it's definitely been quite the metamorphosis, for this 11 car from where he was 20 laps ago. I mean, he was in the back, Clint, having a tough time trying to even make his way to the front. All of a sudden, it was like somebody just said, go.
And look, this last time by, Denny Hamlin was the fastest car on the racetrack at 31.86.
And we saw that a little bit yesterday in practice, maybe not to the extent that we've seen it during this run, but he didn't take off. He was actually like a half a second slower than his teammate Ty Gibbs on takeoff speed, but that long run speed was lights out.
Yeah, what Denny Hamlin and Chris Gale did, they did exactly what I had explained that I saw a couple of teams do last year. They ran really long. They paid the price in the beginning, but now they're paying the dividends as we're coming to the end of this stage.
5 to go in stage 1. Jamie?
William Byron's tire went down. It happened so fast he came right down pit road. His team had to scramble. Ryan Patton is the tire carrier. You didn't even have a chance to put your gloves on, Ryan. You carried those hot tires, blisters all over your hands. How are you?
Yeah, it's not an ideal situation, obviously, but there's a lot of communication going on. In a crisis scenario like that, especially coming off turn 4, the car's on you quick. So thankfully, we're stall 18, which just past the start-finish line, so we have a little bit of time to react. But a heads-up call by Rudy to put the qualifying set on from yesterday. So we're exchanging the sticker tires to the guys. So you got to make sure you got the right front correctly and the right rear correctly. So we put the tires on the car. Everything's good. So it's a crisis situation, but hopefully we'll catch a lucky dog and we get back into this.
Show us those hands. Got some blisters on there, but sticking them inside the ice, guys.
Wow. That's dedication right there, Jamie. All right, 3 to go in the stage. Top 12 right now, 7 Fords, 3 Chevrolets, 2 Toyotas. Bell and Hamlin, Joey Logano in position to get the final stage point.
Well, Kyle Larson's been lights out. We expected him to be really fast. We just didn't know if the tail end of that run he would fall off. So far today, it's been nothing but perfect from that 5.
Chase Elliott coming up to challenge Christopher Bell for second. Uses up all the track and all the apron.
And Chase Elliott's definitely on the move.
That drops back in line.
One thing we haven't talked about is Kyle Larson has lapped all the way to 20th place on this racetrack so far. That's not something that we typically see. That just tells you how dominant that 5 car has been.
Yeah, we don't see that
He's marred at traffic right
first
here,
stage like
because
this
he's
either.
so dominant. I mean, he was almost 4 seconds in the lead. He's just right behind him.
Well, big trouble right in front of him because all 3 of those drivers want to stay on or not lose another lap or stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, where are you going to go? They're 3 wide in front of him.
Yeah, Dillon, Kosovar, Chastain, right at the tail end of the lead lap. Nobody wants to have to take the free pass.
Yeah, you saw Dillon that stayed out, and he might make it on fuel, but it cost him. He's all the way back to 34th place, a lap down.
Yeah, and he's actually running 35-second laps, and the leaders are in the 33-second bracket, so it's been ugly.
So Kyle Larson does not force the issue against those 3 drivers who all happen to be in Chevrolets trying to stay on the tail end of the lead lap. And Larson gets his 7th stage win of the season. That's more than twice as many as any other driver. Keep an eye on Blaney and Cindric in those Penske cars. Kyle Larson, to no one's surprise, starts on pole and wins stage one.
Dominating fashion, too. Kyle Larson wins the opening stage. Never a doubt. Chase Elliott got up to second in the closing laps on Christopher Bell and finishes third in stage one. Fourth for Ryan Blaney, Austin Cindric in fifth. Sixth was Alex Bowman, Denny Hamlin seventh, Ryan Preece eighth, Joey Logano ninth, and Zane Smith rounds out the top 10. Great run for Zane so far. He actually qualified in the top dozen, I do believe, but had to go to the back of the field because of damage in qualifying after he had a right rear tire go down. Very similar incident to what we saw from William Byron in the race so far. Byron's flat right rear was the only flat tire we saw this entire stage, both pre and post green flag pit stops. I think the drivers to look out for going into stage two, Chase Elliott looked really good the longer the long run went. Austin Cindric really surprised me, getting up to fifth. Ryan Preece looked pretty good in the long run. Chris Buescher not looking quite as good as what I was expecting him to be coming into the race. Qualified second. He was 11th. Didn't even get any stage points despite qualifying on the front row. Kyle Busch has been gaining a lot of spots. He's up to 13th after starting 35th. So keep an eye out on a few of those drivers that were really starting to make some time up on the long run. He got up into the top 5 before the green flag pit stops and wasn't really able to make up a lot of ground on the leaders in front of him post green flag pit stops. And he actually would have lost a spot net during the back half of that run when Chase Elliott was on his wayward through the field, but because William Byron was in front of him in second at the time of the right rear tire going flat for him, Blaney ended up getting a spot back. So although Clint Boyer said to look out for him, I think Austin Cindric might have the quickest of the Penske Fords, at least through the early going of the race by what I was able to see looking at the lap times as that run carried on. Kyle Larson winning the stage, his 7th stage win of the season, as Mike Joy stated on the FS1 broadcast, most of any drivers this year, and he's got more than double what anybody else has for stage wins on the year. 2 race wins, and now with the 7 stage wins, that's going to give him a crisp 17 playoff points, and this is only the 12th race of the year out of 26 in the regular season. Not to mention you get 15 playoff points for winning the regular season championship. And Larson was only 13 behind William Byron. Nobody else was within 80 points of Byron for the lead. And Byron, no stage points in stage 1, and he finished off the lead lap. By the time he got back out on the racetrack with that flat right rear tire, they at least kept him from going 2 laps down. So he is in 26, but off the lead lap 1 lap down. Ty Dillon will get the free pass in 21st place to get back on the lead lap. And we'll have pit stops coming up shortly.
Mike Moss for Tire Changer. I enjoy watching anime.
How's that? Tire character? Greenville College football All-American.
Eric Ludwig, Jackman. All conference at Elon University, playing football nose guard.
I'm Brandon Harder, gas man. I've been fortunate enough to be at Hendrick for this will be my 18th year.
Wow.
It's trying to thank Cliff Daniels, the crew chief, Tyler Long, the starter, on the roof. And, each pit crew, each pit member has his own special way of doing things. Watch the Jackman here.
I love all these different styles, Mike, and it's all about what makes you the fastest around that car. And you're going to see some guys that grab it naturally like that Jackman did. Now you got the little different, trying to get a head start there. Behind the back, we've covered this one.
I think this all started with Denny Hamlin's crew. We put that on TV, and everybody said, is there a better way of doing what we do? Let's find out. That Jack weighs 21 pounds.
Well, it's very reminiscent of Junior Johnson back in the day. I think that's a Junior Johnson line. They all learned that from him. His was about 80 pounds, though.
For the top 5 pit crew rankings this season of the rankings of the current top 5 drivers. Kyle Larson, the highest of that list, along with his Hendrick teammate Chase Elliott.
All right, well, here we go. Let's not make any mistakes.
The road is open. Josh.
Let's start with the 9 of Chase Elliott, finished second in stage number 1. His report was that the car was getting a little too tight towards the end. No adjustments, just 4 tires and fuel. Jamie.
I'm Blaney in the 12 as he makes his way on down from the top 5. He's balanced speed just a little bit better. You're going to see these adjustments on every stop for every one of these drivers out here. The conditions are changing out here, Regan.
Christopher Bell in the 20 car started the race off a little on the tight side. They've actually transitioned to loose when the car is loaded up through the corners. And the 5 car, Kyle Larson, after the green flag stop, was too loose when he liked that for traffic.
Larson went to race off pit road from Elliott, Blaney, Bell, and Bowman. Well, ever since NASCAR on Fox came on the air in 2001, one of our cameramen up on the roof was Tony Marshall, T-Bone we call him. And he was the best at finding action on the track or in the infield or wherever it happened to be. Well, a few years ago, he transitioned off the roof and into the RoboCam trailer for the cameras that are mounted on the wall. There's Tony at work, where we couldn't put a cameraman physically at the camera. He runs those from in the trailer, yeah. Well, he's retiring. This is his last race. He's now Tony Robo, and he had a wish. He says he's been at the track all these years, but he'd never been on the track. So cameraman Brad Hutton put this deal together for Bubba Wallace to give Tony Robo a thrill ride. Thanks to Darwin Patterson, Toyota, and Jusan Hamilton. Tony, we're going to miss you.
Don't miss your chance.
Pretty cool story there. Kyle Larson, after winning stage 1, wins the race off of pit road. He had about 3 or 4 lap cars between him and Chase Elliott leading into the pit stops under caution, so had a nice little buffer. Pretty easy for that 5 team to not make a mistake, win the race off pit road. Larson doesn't have to push the speeding side of things because he had the time that he could have given up and still won the race out of the pits as they did. 5 lead changes through the first stage. This is our second caution. Only caution for incident was the A.J. Allmendinger engine failure, possible fluids on the track back on lap 7. Lap 80, the time of the second yellow, which again was the stage end. Lap 165 will reach the end of stage 2. As stage 2 will be 85 laps, and again, 102 laps make up stage 3 when we get there as well. Hendrick Motorsports 1-2 in the running order. Then you got Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell 3rd and 4th. Alex Bowman, Austin Cindric fifth, 6th, and then 7th, 8th, Ryan Preece with Denny Hamlin. Joey Logano, Zane Smith rounding out the top 10 after leaving pit road. And then Kyle Busch up to 11th, gaining 2 spots in the pits, and Josh Berry up a couple as well to 12th. So that's the top dozen. The chat poll will stay up until the end of stage 2. We're at 53 votes so far. So again, end of stage 2 is when that will close. While we wait for the next restart, we'll take another break. You're listening live on KRC to the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas Speedway for the NASCAR Cup Series. Waiting for them to come back from the full straight commercial break, currently airing under the caution. The end of stage 1 on Fox Sports 1. Thank you all for watching throughout the course of this weekend's live commentary streams on the channel. Start times for next weekend at North Wilkesboro Speedway will be up on the community tab a little later in the week. But again, we will have live commentary on Saturday for the Truck Series race, which will be at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm not sure on the start times for the heat races on Saturday, which will set the starting lineup for the main event for the All-Star race Sunday. Then there will also be practice for the Cup Series, 50 minutes, full session. Qualifying will be the pit road competition to set the starting lineups for those heat races. And then obviously a doubleheader for Sunday, scheduled with the All-Star Open and the All-Star main event.
Thoughts during the race, but you're always here on top of the three-horn. What is it about this perspective you like?
I can sit up here and watch the whole track, watch all three drivers today with Jesse in the car, and I can just tell them what I see when I see it.
What are your observations overall? You just said, boy, Larson's fast, stating the obvious.
He's in his own zip code right now, and I think Kyle will be able to race him. I don't know about him, but he's headed that way. Hopefully, also he helped the 5 off to stay on the lead lap, so hopefully we'll get it fixed.
The only Kansas win for RCR was by a guy named, at least in the Cup Series, Harvick. Let's go back to Mike Joy, Clint Boyer, and the guy named Harvick.
Thanks, Chris. Let's check with Josh.
All right, guys. Well, we talked about Ty Dillon pitting last on lap 8 and then ran to the end of that stage. So you can see the effect on that right rear tire over there. This is not what you want to see, but that is an impact of how important tires are. And when you try and run long, that could be what happens, guys.
Well, certainly explains why his lap times were 3 seconds off what the leaders were running. One penalty on this round of pit stops, Carson Hocevar, equipment interference. So he'll start at the back of the 22 cars on the lead lap, including the pre-pass car, which is Todd Gilliland. Jamie?
Well, Denny Hamlin has worked his way and cycled up to 8th, but listening to his radio, he's got a clutch issue. In fact, he just radioed and said, I have 0 clutch pedal. So, of course, that could impact his ability to save fuel and, of course, executing those pit stops.
Chris Buescher had a 12.7 second stop and fell from 10th to 17th, where he'll be on the restart.
Well, it doesn't take much on pit road to lose those positions, but as we get going here on this restart, we know that these guys have been wild and crazy. There's plenty of room to race all over this track, and they're getting ready to use it again.
All right, 69 lap green flag run to the end of the first stage. Green flag to start stage 2 is now going to be upon us. Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott on the front row. Larson inside of row 1 yet again. Josh Berry to the apron, going underneath 4 wide with Zane Smith, Joey Logano, and Kyle Busch to his outside. Logano has to give up a lot of ground to let the other 3 cars go. Kyle Busch with a big run on that outside line, going to clear all 3 race cars. Side by side for the race lead continues between Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson at the front of the field entering turn 3. Larson tries to slide up and take Elliott's line away. Elliott on the right rear corner panel gets a big side draft of Larson. He gets the pole, run off the high side, and Chase Elliott will lead his first lap of the day, though he is not clear at the start-finish line. Both cars chase each other to the bottom of the racetrack, again trying to side draft, and fastly coming down from third is Ryan Blaney. Blaney almost got to the outside of both drivers into turns 1 and 2. He'll carry the outside lane momentum down the back straightaway, give a big push to Chase Elliott. Nope, backs off early, and now decides to play defense on Alex Bowman, who takes a late dive into 3 and 4 to the inside of Blaney. Bell to the outside, 3 wide and tight, nearly squeezing Bell into the wall, but he gets through, past the 12, past the 48, while Larson and Elliott are still door-to-door for the lead, entering turn 1 on the 3rd lap following the restart. Larson led that lap at the line the last time by, but couldn't clear Chase Elliott, and as Chase Elliott uses a side draft again through 1 and 2, it's Bell who catches up behind both the 5 and the 9. They're mirror driving on the 20 as they still stay door-to-door entering 3, and finally, Kyle Larson wins the battle for the lead. Bell to the outside for second on Chase Elliott. Ryan Blaney very loose off turn 4 as he battles for 4th with Alex Bowman, and Ryan Preece in the 60 is on the run just behind him. What a battle for second place going on right now. Just a gaggle of cars between really 2nd through about 6th. Josh Berry from 12th to 7th on the restart. Ryan Blaney taking it to the bottom of the track through 3 and 4. He's 3 wide under Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott. And after Bell was able to get through to 2nd place off turn 4, now he can turn his attention to the leader, Kyle Larson. Blaney blocking to the apron on Ryan Preece just behind him while trying to set himself up for a run to get back by Chase Elliott. Blaney blows the entry to the corner through 1 and 2, quickly slides up in front of Preece, who catches him again off the exit of the corner. Not going to have a big enough of a run to really challenge Blaney for 4th, though, into 3 and 4 on the other end of the racetrack. Preece was looking really good on the long run back at stage 1, and the fact he had a great restart to get up in the top 5. Look out for Ryan Preece as this second stage continues. A lot of Fords up there in the top 10 right now. You got Blaney in 4th, Preece in 5th, Cindric 6th, Berry 8th. That's 4 different Fords for 4 different Ford teams up inside the top 10. Zane Smith is now up to 10th. He's the 5th Ford on the 5th different Ford team for Front Row Motorsports now in the top 10. A lot of variation there. Only Chevrolets in the top 10 are the 3 Hendrick cars of Larson, Elliott, and Bowman. Cindric gets split 3 wide middle, and he loses a ton of momentum. Barry, Hamlin, Bowman all get by him. Zane Smith, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski also get by the 2. There's a big-time lift off the exit of turn 4 at the wrong time for Austin Cindric, and he goes from finishing 5th at the end of stage 1 to now outside the top 10 contact up against the wall. Zane Smith and Alex Bowman get together. We stay green, but both cars made very significant contact with one another, and Alex Bowman had actually gotten squeezed against the fence in a battle for 7th place. They were 3 wide. Hamlin was on the bottom, and it looked like Zane Smith in the middle just ran the 48 up out of line. I don't think Hamlin did anything wrong on the inside. I definitely know he definitely did not make any contact with the 2 cars to his outside. Bowman held his position on the 11 and the 38, but you wonder what kind of damage he has to the right side of the race car. Seems to be okay, but it looked like a fairly violent hit. Obviously, the toe link is not broken, so that's big. He's at speed still. Now we're just going to have to wait to see if he'll have a tire rub, which I haven't seen any smoke out of the right side of the 48 yet. Smith just washed up the racetrack right into him. 3 wide in that middle lane, not really anywhere to go. Maybe Hamlin crowded those 2 cars to the outside a bit. But definitely 3 wide and running out of space. Oh, happy birthday, Billy. Bradley Thomas, welcome to the stream. Thanks for tuning in, Hurricane. Xfinity fastest lap is still Kyle Larson with a 30.288. And that was still all the way back on lap 2 where he set that fastest lap. Larson's lead over Christopher Bell is 1.2 seconds with 68 laps to go in stage 2. We're at lap 99 of 267 overall. Chase Elliott's 2.4 seconds off the lead in 3rd, 2.9 seconds back to Ryan Blaney in 4th, and 3.3 seconds to Ryan Preece in 5th. Josh Berry 4 seconds off the lead in 6th. Alex Bowman's 4.6 back in 7th. Denny Hamlin 4.9 back in 8th. Zane Smith is 5.5 seconds off the lead in 9th. And 5.9 seconds off the lead is Brad Keselowski in 10th. So top 10, the intervals between themselves and our leader Larson. Last lap, Larson was the quickest on the racetrack. 31.03 to Bell's 31.31, which was 0.3 slower. Ryan Blaney had the 2nd fastest lap, only behind Larson, from the 4th place position, as he's within a half a second of Elliott for 3rd now. Yep, happy Mother's Day to all yet again as well. 100 laps in here at the Kansas Speedway. Going to be halfway through this race before we know it, as the Kyle Larson domination show continues. I've only picked 1 race winner correct in the first 10 races this season, and it was Kyle Larson at Homestead. So we shall see if I can pick Kyle Larson to win a race again here this season. .1 seconds over Bell and continues to grow it. He's been 2 to 3 tenths of a second faster a lap about the last 4 or 5 laps. Long way still to go, though. Again, in the first half of the race. We'll have the diecast showing at the end of stage 2 on stream. We'll end the chat poll at the end of stage 2. And also remember that the Fantasy League, your lineups lock up before the end of stage 2. Really, at the end of stage 2, they do lock. So make sure to have those fantasy lineups set the closer we get. If you had William Byron on your team, you might want to take him out. So he is still a lap down as of right now with that right rear tire failure back in stage 1. Currently 22 cars are on the lead lap. Just a quick recap. I know I mentioned it in the pre-race, but if you weren't here before the race started, my fantasy team this week, I've got Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin. The head-to-head picks this week were Alex Bowman versus Bubba Wallace. I took Alex Bowman. Tyler Reddick versus Ross Chastain. I took Tyler Reddick. Chase Elliott versus Joey Logano. I took Elliott. And Hamlin versus Bell. I took Hamlin. As of right now, 3 of those 4 would be correct. Hamlin behind Bell would be the only one wrong. Hamlin's definitely going to end up going in my lineup. As of right now, I have him in over Tyler Reddick, who has been outside the top 10 all day. Of my fantasy lineup, both Buescher and Reddick were the only 2 that did not score stage points of the 6. One of them does not have to get the start. Reddick back at 17th. Definitely a bit surprising. Buescher 11th, right where he finished the last stage. Lost some spots on pit road, though. He's gained 6 of them since the restart, where Tyler Reddick, on the other hand, has actually only picked up 3 spots. Surprised that 45 car has not been as good today. Former winner at Kansas Speedway. Regular season champion a year ago. But we haven't seen race-winning speed out of Reddick's car, really for the most part this season. 3-second lead for Larson over Bell. My goodness. I'd imagine we'll be seeing some green flag pit stops before the next commercial break on FS1. We'll listen into maybe what some of those reports will end up being for teams trying to make adjustments to get themselves closer to the speed of the 5 of Kyle Larson. Larson had the fastest 5, 10, and 15 lap averages in practice yesterday, and he had scrubbed the wall before making any 20-plus lap run, so he came to pit road and went back out. Very minor damage. Maybe helped him try to find that fine line of where not to step over the edge in the race today. Get it out before the race, and been having a good run. Josh Berry, who hit the wall in his qualifying lap, had to start at the tail end of the field. He is up to 5th and on the move. Berry has won on a 1.5 mile track this season, like Larson. Larson at Homestead, Berry at Vegas. So great run for Josh Berry in the 21 for the Wood Brothers. 1.5 mile track a week ago, Josh Berry was leading at Texas when he had spun in the second half of that race as well. Great to see what he's been doing with that 21 team all season. Obviously, there were some drivers that pitted before the halfway point of the first stage. I would imagine not to see anybody pit before lap 38. That would probably be the earliest I could see cars hitting pit road. If they were to split the stage in exactly half, they'd be pitting at lap 43, considering that we did have 7 caution laps. If we're looking at green flag laps, 39 laps to go in the stage would be exactly half. Most of the teams will pit a couple laps before that, but there will be some that'll stretch into the back half like we saw in stage 1. Denny Hamlin was one of those drivers. He's in the 7th place position. He's much closer to the front of the field now than what he was when he tried that strategy, so he could be able to get quite a few spots out of the back half of that run. And that 11 team over the last couple of years, whether it's the new crew chief this season or Chris Gabehart in years past, they've usually tried to do that offsetting, split the stages 50-50 on the tire wear on tracks like Kansas Speedway. We've seen it several times already this year as well, where he was able to compete for stage wins and race wins on 1.5 mile tracks. Homestead, he tried that, and that was really him and Larson on that strategy was the only thing able to keep up with Ryan Blaney on speed that day, was to get ahead on tires. And although the tire wear isn't as crucial as what it is at Homestead, it's still pretty big. Battle for second place going on currently between Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott on the track with 54 laps to go. Elliott is lurking towards the inside of Bell's race car, laying off the wall for Elliott to get the clean air on the nose while Bell runs the outside near the wall through 3 and 4. These guys are almost 1 second ahead of Ryan Blaney, who really isn't that far off the battle for second. William Byron probably had quite a bit of damage from that right rear tire going flat earlier. They're showing him on screen. He's in 29th. Free pass position is still Bubba Wallace in 23rd. And the only reason Wallace is a lap down is because he ended up having the pit crew violation for pit crew interference. Penalty on that 23 team. Belt returns 3 and 4 that last time by for second place, which is where Elliott was able to finish in second at the end of stage 1. Definitely was proving well on the back half of that stage. That's where he gained the most of his positions. And now in the back half of this run, we'll see what his lap times are going to be compared to Larson. Larson does have a 5.8 second gap back to Chase Elliott. So if he is to give up even a little bit now, he should easily have the lead into the green flag pit stops by still a couple of seconds, even if Elliott starts chipping away a couple tenths a lap. Christopher Bell's definitely wore his tires out. And I'm surprised as hard as Elliott and Larson racing side by side for the lead on that last restart that they didn't burn their tires up earlier into the run. They're still first and second. It's almost like it didn't faze them at all. Yeah, I saw that Sabu passed away earlier today. He was probably one of my favorites of the ECW originals. Him and RVD probably would have been the two favorite of the ECW camp for me personally. Growing up, I didn't really watch ECW much when I was a kid, but going back and watching stuff on the archives, quite a few Sabu matches that I've gone back and rewatched. I saw your comment earlier about if I watched Backlash. I didn't watch it live, of course. It was over by the time the truck race got done last night, but I did watch the whole episode this morning. I ended up calling off of work, not to watch that, but just because my allergies were keeping me up all night and I was beat. I woke up at 4:45 this morning, and I'm like, no, it is not happening. I still sound a little bit nasally. Feel better now as the day has gone on. So I'll be back in action. Our like goal for this stream, by the way, was to get to 100. We are currently at 43. So be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so in the stream yet. Elliott has cut into the lead just a little bit on Larson. Last lap he was about 3/10 quicker, and the lead is down to 5.2 seconds. Ryan Blaney has since gotten to third during the commercial break. Bell has dropped to fourth. So we'll go through the top 10 here and the intervals between those top 10 positions. Larson 5.2 seconds ahead of Chase Elliott in second. Ryan Blaney is 6.7 seconds back in third. Christopher Bell 7.3 seconds off the lead in fourth. Denny Hamlin is up to fifth, 8.9 seconds off the lead. He just recently passed Josh Berry. Berry's in sixth, 8.5 seconds back. 9.4 back for Alex Bowman in seventh, who got into the wall after contact with Zane Smith on the restart. Both him and Smith in the top 10. Zane Smith is actually in 8th place still, 11.3 seconds off the lead. Brad Keselowski's 11.7 back in 9th, and Ryan Preece is 12.9 seconds off the lead, rounding out the top 10. All three RFK Fords are 9th, 10th, and 11th. The day Brad Keselowski's having, this could be the first top 10 of the season for Bad Brad. 5 Fords, 3 Chevys, and 2 Toyotas make up the manufacturer race in the top 10. But only one of those 5 Fords that are in the top 10 are in the top 5, which would be Blaney in third. Elliott has trimmed the lead to just under 5 seconds on Kyle Larson with 45 laps to go in stage 2. We still have not seen anybody hit pit road until now. Austin Cindric is on pit road from just outside the top 10. And we'll probably have many more to follow here shortly. Surprised they're not covering on that yet. Cindric was 5th at the end of the first stage, but he did not have a good restart. Lost quite a few spots. I think he was running around 13th, 14th at the time of him hitting pit road that last lap. Denny Hamlin up to 4th as he just passed Christopher Bell that last time by. Hamlin definitely on the move. Talked about Chase Elliott slightly running down Kyle Larson. Elliott's still the fastest car on the track, but the second fastest car that last lap was Hamlin. And then Blaney, then Larson. 3.7 second gap between Larson and Elliott. The problem is that Elliott and others lose too much time on the front side of the run, that they're too far back to catch Larson in the back half of the run. And Larson, although he's not as great when they get 20, 25, 30 plus laps into a run, he's still good enough.
Yeah, I'd say he's still coming back. Austin Cindric had to come back down pit road. He had an uncontrolled tire on his
penalty for Cindric. Chastain and Zane Smith are in.
Offense penalties today.
Yes, 5 of them so far. 37 of them coming in. You knew it was going to happen.
Larson getting passed by Gregson on the racetrack. Noah Gregson has fresher tires. Jesse Love coming onto pit road next. Austin Dillon is also on pit road as we stand. Christopher Bell is coming in.
So Dillon in. Here's Christopher Bell. Regan.
Hi, Christopher Bell, the 20 car, much like he has been the majority of the day. Starting off the run too tight. The problem is, though, it transitions too quick to lose. He's been complaining about losing the right rear quickly in runs. As a matter of fact, more quickly this time as we saw him losing some positions there.
Tom Radican. Here comes Elliott and Blaney.
Yep.
Josh?
For Chase Elliott, that comes into the pit cars, he's still carrying that back car. It's inside. No adjustment when he wants to get into 4 tires.
Kyle Busch and Chris Buescher are also in.
Keep hearing that from these drivers. Air pressure adjustment every time.
Kyle Larson's coming into the pits.
Chris Buescher, Kyle Busch, Eric Jones, Chase Briscoe getting service, and here's the leader, Kyle Larson. No surprise there. I think they stayed out 1 lap too many that last time, let him get a little bit too close for comfort. He's led 114 of the 126 laps today. Regan.
And Mike, it's been all good things on the radio. Pretty pleased with what's going on inside the car. Good feedback and very detailed feedback, whether it's yellow flag or green flag pit stops as to what the car is doing. The biggest thing he said this last run was I struggled a little bit more when I got the traffic than I wanted to, Josh.
Well, Kevin was been a bit of a slow week today. That car is just too tight for him. He said, I need more rear security, more than I need front turn right now. We'll see if they can get that 22 where it needs to be.
Josh Berry, Alex Stallman, and Denny Hamlin in and out. Ryan Priest comes in along with Nemechek and Gilliland.
Seemed like they
all Corey High.
Yeah, it seemed like they had as much trouble on the pit stop as they did taking off there for Denny Hamlin.
Carson Hocevar won yesterday's truck race. Assumes the lead. He and teammate Justin Haley have not yet been to pit road, nor has Daniel Suarez, McDowell, Custer, Gibbs, or Stenhouse.
You see on the scoring pile on there, you see Carson Hocevar and Justin Haley. Now Haley's on pit road, but they're definitely running this run long. Hocevar leading the race right now.
I'll show you what happened to Denny Hamlin's stop. That trouble on the right front. Lost his lug nut. Oh, and lost his backup too, Kevin. You saw him reach for his belt for the backup, and it fell off.
Wow.
17.4 seconds.
I was wondering how he fell behind Kyle Busch. Carson Hocevar is the race leader for the first time today during the green flag pit stops at Kansas Speedway. He's the only driver that has to hit pit road yet. Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott second and third. The gap between Larson and Elliott is about 3 seconds. And the gap between Hocevar and Larson is about 13.5. Larson should be almost 2 seconds a lap faster on the fresher tires than that of Carson Hocevar at the front of the field. Carson staying out, just trying to catch a caution. I mean, that would probably bring everybody else back to pit road again with the slight tire wear that we do have. Because this is definitely past the halfway point on green flag laps to the end of the stage from when we restarted at the beginning of stage 2. And now Carson Hocevar is in from the lead.
And he stopped right up at the end. That's a long run. He was last on pit road at lap 87 during the stage race. That's the way how that goes through.
All right.
Pass.
Clean 4 tire stop there. Kyle Larson still has the fastest lap of the race, which was all the way back on lap 2, 30.288. He's the race leader. He's trying to sweep the first 2 stages here today at the Kansas Speedway, as well as lead us 3.1 seconds over Chase Elliott in the second place position now post green flag pit stops. 4.8 seconds back to Christopher Bell in third. Fourth is Ryan Blaney. Fifth is Josh Berry, and Alex Bowman is in sixth. Is Kyle Busch, Ryan Preece 12th, Joey Logano 13th, 14th for Tyler Reddick. 15th place is Ross Chastain, Noah Gragson in 16th, Chase Briscoe 17th, Austin Dillon 18th, 19th for Justin Haley, and Carson Hocevar in 20th. 21st, Todd Gilliland. First car lap down, Michael McDowell in 22nd, Cole Custer 23rd. Ty Gibbs 24th, and 25th is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Austin Cindric 26th just fell off the lead lap because of a pit road penalty during the green flag stops. Eric Jones is now 27th, Bubba Wallace 28th, Corey Heim 29th, and 30th is William Byron. He had a flat right rear and has some damage as he's been stuck back in the back of the pack ever since. That was back in stage 1 where that flat right rear took place. John Hunter Nemechek 31st, Daniel Suarez 32nd, Shane Van Gisbergen 33rd, Cody Ware 34th. 35th for Jesse Love, Ty Dillon 36th, Riley Herbst 37th, and AJ Allmendinger still the only car out of the race in 38th. He's gonna win the battle for last car, I guess. Brian Santop, welcome into the stream. Fishing in coastal Florida, keeping you informed on the race. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you're having a good bite today. And just past halfway in the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas Speedway. 9 lead changes, all of which during green flag pit stops. Nobody has passed Kyle Larson outright for the lead. Chase Elliott, though, 3.1 seconds back, was about 6 seconds off the lead when he first took second place away. He's losing a little bit of time since the green flag pit stop cycled. He'll probably gain in on some of that deficit before the end of the stage, but can he get to Larson before the end of stage 2 would be the next question. Definitely has to be a little bit better on the short run if he's going to want a shot to take down Larson, who has had the best short run car of any by far. And so far, he's 2 for 2 on the restarts, 3 for 3 if you count the initial start of the race. Oh, okay, so it looks like practice and qualifying for North Wilkesboro is going to be on Friday. See, I did not know that. I was unaware of the schedule for next week. So we're going to be streaming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday next weekend on the channel for the live commentary streams, and not just Saturday, Sunday. I was wondering because I was like, man, we're going to have 3 or 4 streams on Saturday. Now it's spaced out. It's going to be basically 2, 2, and 2. So, or 1 on Friday, and then probably 2, and then 2. So Saturday, Sunday. There you have it. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll have the start times for you again on the community tab later in the week. But practice and qualifying for the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro will be Friday. Then the heat races with the truck race will be on Saturday. Pit road competition as well Saturday. And Sunday will be the All-Star Open preceded by the main events. No pre-race show like we usually do for the Cup races for next week with it being an exhibition. But again, 2 streams with the Open. And then that hour and a half break between races for the All-Star race on Sunday night. Kyle Riker, welcome into the stream. And Denny Hamlin coming back on the pit road. Or is that a replay of the slow stop? No, he came back. I think. Trying to find him on our leaderboard. No, he did not. It was a replay of the slow stop. He's actually gained a couple positions back on Buescher and Kyle Busch since the commercial break. 25 laps to go in stage 2. Hamlin's up to 9th again. Through lap traffic, Chase Elliott about 2/10 quicker than Kyle Larson that last lap. Still a 3.3-second gap back to Elliott in second, 7 seconds to Christopher Bell in third. Ryan Blaney is 8 seconds off the lead in fourth, and 8.5 back is Josh Berry in fifth. And that is the top 5 in the running order. Host green flag pit stops at stage 2, and again, just past halfway overall in the race. Lap 142 of 267 in the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas. Kyle Reichert, thank you for the $20 super chat. You're very generous. Thank you so much. Regular viewer of the channel, see you here every weekend. Definitely one of the consistent fans of the channel, watching the channel every weekend, following along during these live commentary streams. And just for watching alone, I appreciate it. But yeah, thank you so much for that $20 super chat. Anytime anybody sends any super chats, excuse me, it definitely overwhelms me to the point where I really don't know what to say other than thank you, because I feel like you deserve more. I had an idea kind of spitballing in my brain for how I would do that down the line to try to give back to the channel. And when we get the merch store at 10,000 subscribers, whenever that comes into play, whether that would be this year or next season, definitely going to have more of a ability to give back. One of the ways is for playing along if you play the NASCAR Fantasy League, because you get the 2 tickets to any NASCAR race of your choosing the following season. So that's kind of the big way of giving back to a various few fans every year. We're guaranteed to have 2 winners. Last year we had 3 because we actually had a tie for the win in the Fantasy League. So I just gave it to both of the playoff winners rather than just one or the other, because I would have hated to have a tie for the championship and then only give it to one person when we didn't really have a tiebreaker on merit. Because the likelihood of having a tie in a season-long Fantasy League points when you're scoring a couple hundred points a week, it's just insane that we had a tie like that. But when the NASCAR game comes out, we'll definitely have some streams there, giving back to you guys, where we'll have some online lobbies. We haven't been able to do that on the channel in a very long time, because whenever I have done the gaming, it's been on the PS2, and that's because there hasn't been a new NASCAR game in a minute. But NASCAR 25 coming out in the fall, and that could change that a bit. Another side-by-side commercial break with 19 laps to go in stage 2. We'll go through the full field running order once again here. Kyle Larson leads, Chase Elliott in second, Christopher Bell third, Ryan Blaney fourth, and Josh Berry in fifth. Alex Bowman is in the 6th spot. Brad Keselowski 7th, Denny Hamlin 8th, Zane Smith 9th, and Chris Buescher rounds out the top 10. 11th for Kyle Busch. Ryan Preece has dropped to 12th in stage 2. Joey Logano 13th, Tyler Reddick 14th, and Justin Haley in 15th. 16th for Ross Chastain, Carson Hocevar 17th, Noah Gragson 18th, Austin Dillon 19th, and Chase Briscoe's the last car in the lead lap at 20th. Todd Gillen, first car lap down in 21st. Austin Cindric is 22nd, Eric Jones 23rd. Bubba Wallace 24th, Corey Heim 25th, and Daniel Suarez 26th. 27th for John Hunter Nemechek, William Byron 28th, Shane Van Gisbergen in 29th, Michael McDowell 30th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 31st, Jesse Love 32nd, Cole Custer 33rd, Ty Dillon 34th, and 35th is Riley Herbst. Last 3 in the running order: Ty Gibbs 36th, Cody Ware 37th, and AJ Allmendinger 38th. 10 laps spent under yellow, only 2 cautions, 1 for incident. We're guaranteed 1 more yellow with the stage 2 caution at lap 165. Total laps time on the race, just over an hour and a half to get through the first 150 laps of 267 today at Kansas. Very fast race pace with the lack of yellows. Make him a mod. Yeah, he does deserve that. That's the least I can do. It's the least I can do. Good idea there, Matthew. Larson's lead's now only 2.3 seconds to Chase Elliott with still 15 laps to go in stage 2.
Welcome back to Kansas, where Kyle Larson now has a 2.3 second lead over Chase Elliott. Christopher Bell in third, Ryan Blaney in fourth, Josh Berry, the top 5. Here's Regan.
Larson, of course, out front leading right now. Lost it a little bit. Particularly, the detailed information put in is just getting. Oh.
Well, that's good advice. And we talk about that right rear tire of Kyle Larson. We know how hard he drives that car, and he drives right through that tire sometimes. And we've seen it bite him before here at Kansas by wearing that right rear tire out. So we saw Ty Dillon's earlier down to the court. We know how far he ran, but he is definitely hard on that right rear.
Well, he's eased it a little bit. Of the top 10 drivers, his lap of the top 10.
And I think Cliff does a great job. You know, with Kyle, you definitely have to help manage and pull the reins back on him to keep him in the wheelhouse of taking care of things. And you don't want to take him and beat him down and take that fire out of him. But Kyle Larson definitely will stand on the gas, and Cliff Daniels does a good job in managing that.
Josh Berry having a look at Christopher Bell here. This is for 4th place.
Yeah, well, we saw that 20 car fall off big time last time, late in the second half of that run. So seems to be that 20 car goes loose based upon the information that we've had. So when that car goes loose, it just becomes really difficult to make speed on the entry to the corner. And when you're having to counter steer that car to the right, you just can't be aggressive with it. So anytime that car starts to get loose, making a good lap time consistently is going to be very difficult to do. But definitely second half of the run's a struggle for Bell.
So Berry moves up to 4th. We knew he'd be one of the fastest Fords today. With Bell in 5th in the Toyota, as we've discussed. And 6th, Alex Bowman, who started 19th, but otherwise Bowman's been in the top 10 all day.
We knew he had a strong car yesterday. His long run speed was really good. And really today, it looks like you need a Hendrick car. I know that's, the 24 car had a little bit of trouble with that right rear tire going down. But these other 3 cars, Larson, Elliott, Bowman, they've been in the mix all afternoon so far.
Now here's Brad Keselowski in 7th, looking for his first top 10 of the season. 2 of his 4 fastest stops of the season have come today. So everybody has risen to the occasion for Keselowski. And behind him in 8th, Denny Hamlin. Hamlin restarted 7th. Began the day in 14th. 4 Kansas wins for Hamlin.
Well, he's not going to win today with the trouble that he has with that clutch. It's just going to be almost impossible to win. But Zane Smith, these guys had trouble yesterday with the right rear tire. Got it at the wall at practice, and he has run great all day today.
Ryan Preece had a couple of runs up toward the front earlier in the race. He's been hanging around the top 10 most all day in his RFK Ford.
Yeah, qualified at the back of the pack, worked his way right up to the front. And these guys they've really been solid all year.
And Kyle Busch. Kyle scraped the wall in qualifying, started in 35th, trying for his 3rd Kansas win, and trying here to break into the top 10.
Yeah, got a little loose right there off of turn 2. And we heard Richard Childress talk about that earlier with Jamie McMurray up on top of the trailer. They were trying to figure out how to get it tightened up, and you definitely saw him back in step out right there on that 8.
Joey Logano, last week's winner, must be breathing a sigh of relief now that he's got a win in his pocket and will be in the playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, he didn't have a top 5 to his name yet. Obviously, the penalty at Talladega was unexpected. Had a great finish there. But you could tell in his pre-race conversations today, Clint, that he wasn't very confident in his car.
Behind him, Chris Buescher, who fired off on the outside pole and finished second here last year by the best of margins. He ended up in outside the top 20 after pit stops, but he's fighting his way back, Regan.
Mike, that's exactly right. They're doing everything they can. A little bit of slow pit stop earlier in the race got him back just a little ways. But the larger issue for the 17 cars, they have been very loose all day long. They've been struggling to get that car tightened up. But the latest report from Chris was that it was finally getting a little bit better. Did not want it tightened up anymore. So let's see if he makes some gains forward. Josh? Well, you guys talked about the surprise of the 45 to Tyler Reddick, now running in the top 10, not running in the top 5. I can tell you that team is surprised as well. They felt really good about that car coming into this race, about the short run, about the long run, but during this race, Reddick has complained that it's just too tight. He didn't have the turn that he needs. He ended up scraping the wall of stage number 1. No damage for him, but he has been searching for the speed out there on the track.
Reddick was 14 and now falls to Justin Haley. See, Reddick and Wall is still waiting around front of that. Coming to 4 to go here. I got my eye on the leader, guys. Hard in traffic, and Elliott's right behind him. Every time he gets close, and I'd say Larson, to those 4 cars racing side by side, is really nowhere to go. He's being patient, doing exactly what his crew chief Cliff Daniels told him to do. And now you're going to have another battle because Noah Gregson just ahead of him as the last car on the lead lap. Then Ross Chastain, and then Chase Briscoe, and they're all up there in a big knot of cars. What's Larson going to do? Move to the inside of Noah Gregson right there.
Yeah, I think he got comfortable with the distance that he had behind him. So 10,000 career laps led. So that's a lot of laps. Right?
Only 3 active drivers with that many career laps led. Kyle Busch would be one of those, and Hamlin the other.
Kevin, I asked you on the break, when you have a dominant race car like this, it makes it easier for the competition to stack the deck against you. I told you, Chase Elliott's get closer to him.
Yeah, that right rear tire is not happy. It doesn't look like on Kyle Larson's car as we come to the final lap of this stage, but you saw it slide around and Chase Elliott has closed in to the back bumper of that 5 car. Wouldn't surprise me if he goes right around it.
Well, now here's Gregson trying to get back. He wants to fight his way back on the lead lap.
Oh, it's going to cost Elliott.
The car just ahead of the race leader is Chastain. And Larson drops to the bottom. Elliott's coming. So is Gregson rim riding around the outside. Chastain's going to stay on the lead lap. And Larson's going to hold off Elliott to win stage 2, but it was close.
Well, there's a chink in the armor right there. We talked about that right rear tire with Kyle Larson, and you could definitely, we heard Cliff talk about it, and we saw that car dancing around right there. So definitely something to be concerned with.
For the 14th time, Kyle Larson has swept the 2 stages. We'll have pit stops coming up for the end of stage 2.
Stage wins number 7 and 8 on the season for Kyle Larson. Chase Elliott's second in both stages. Pretty solid points today for him so far. Kyle Larson probably going to take over the points lead from William Byron today, who is well outside the top 10 in both of the first 2 stages. Larson would be the current points leader as we run. 20 stage points to Byron 0. He was only 13 back coming into the day. Chase Elliott was in a tie for 3rd in points. Mathematically can't get up to Larson, but could take 3rd in his own right. He has outscored his counterpart, Denny Hamlin, who was tied in points with him coming into the afternoon. Ryan Blaney was 3rd in stage number 2, barely holding off Josh Berry there at the end. Berry got alongside Blaney with a couple laps to go, but couldn't complete the pass. Josh Berry was 4th at the end of stage 2, and Christopher Bell 5th. Alex Bowman in the 6th place position, 7th for Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, 8th, Zane Smith Knight, and Ryan Preece rounds out the top 10. 1 point per position. All those drivers getting stage points for stage number 2. It's our 3rd caution. Stage 2 goes caution free. We'll end our chat poll. 60 votes were casted. 45% of those votes taking Kyle Larson for the win today. He was my pick to win the race as well. 25% had somebody other than Blaney, Hamlin, or Larson. 16% took Hamlin, who was 8th at the end of stage 2, and Ryan Blaney, who was 3rd at the end of stage 2, pretty much been 3rd, 4th most of the day, gets 13% of those votes. 48 likes on the stream so far. We'll take a quick break and we'll have our next set of pit stops coming underway during this next caution. You're listening live on KRC. Lot of racing still to go. "102 laps in stage 3 today. By the time we go green, we'll probably have around 95, give or take, laps to go. We had 7 laps spent under the caution back at stage 1, so I'd expect pretty much about the same for stage 2. Free pass goes to Noah Gregson, I believe. He just lost his lap in the second to last lap of the last stage. 19th place is where Gregson was at the time of the caution to get the free pass and get back on the lead lap.
Their pit crew and the ranking, they did a great job on pit road to put themselves in position to have a chance to win the race. And the 8 car was fast. Everybody wants Kyle Busch to win right now. And I was trying to give the guy some love, and mid-sentence, we're backed into the fence off of turn 4. But that just really seems to be the way that it's going for this 8 car right now.
Join Kevin and the gang every Tuesday and Thursday. Is this the most opinionated podcast in NASCAR? Maybe. Tune in and see. Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour presented by Echo Park Automotive. Jamie.
And Kyle Busch has been running around the top 10 all day long. As far as this pit crew coming into the season, he had 2 changes, and it's been a struggle week to week. But the last few weeks, they've really gelled and found their stride. So let's meet Team 8.
Shane Papala, front tire changer of the 8 Chevrolet, 18th year in NASCAR. When I'm not changing tires on the weekend, I work in my son's core division with my wife, Amy Lucas. I love
There
you guys.
you go.
Shiloh Windsor. I'm the rear changer on the number 8 Chevrolet. I'm a former defensive end for the University of Wyoming. All glory to God. Lamar Neal, tire carrier on the 8 Chevrolet. I'm a former collegiate linebacker, and when I'm not changing tires, I'm changing diapers. Phil Munzer, Jackman for the number 8 Chevrolet. 11th season in the sport. First season with Richard Childress Racing. Former middle linebacker. Former Sports Center top 10. To my beautiful wife and kids at home, Daddy loves you. Justin White, fueler for the number 8 Chevrolet. This is my 15th season in NASCAR. Former basketball player.
Randall Burnett's the crew chief. Eric Nealand up on the spotter stand. I just wonder how fast he can change that bumper though. Fast. It's all about speed.
Well, I mean, when you're competitive, you want to do everything that
You have to do it fast, guys. Like hold your breath.
That's right. Yeah, very true.
All right, Kyle Larson's crew still the best of the top 5 on track right now, according to our season rankings.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Ryan Blaney's team made a change on their car. They've been really good today on their pit stop, so held their own, gained some spots so far.
Zane Smith, Ryan Priest picking up stage points. Brad Keselowski, 6th. Let's see how this plays out. Josh.
Well, Chase Elliott finished second in both stages today. Started the race on the tight side. They built the 3 during that last run, trying to find a happy medium to get this time where it needs to be.
Ryan Blaney as well said no grip at all. That's his biggest complaint. Said he had a 4-wheel drift in the 3 to so loose. They'll help him with the air pressure adjustment, 4 tires. Josh Berry having a great day. It's letting him know where he is, letting him know that his pace isn't far on with Kyle Larson to keep digging. Air pressure adjustment for the 21 region.
Watching the 5 car just out at the track in traffic a little bit too much that right. Thought maybe the tires up as we said.
Did he get him? He did, guys. Chase Elliott took point. How about that?
Well, that was the conversation we were just having. What will happen if Kyle Larson loses control of this race? But there you have it. And look, you go back to the timing line right there. It was so close.
Kyle Larson sweeps stage 1 and 2. A lot of racing left to go here in Kansas.
Well, Kyle Larson wins the first two stages of the race. He didn't get passed outright on the racetrack, but he got passed on pit road by Chase Elliott with a faster four-tire stop for the 9 team. So Elliott will be restarting in the lead to begin this third and final stage today. Robert Goodrich, Pam Hall, welcome into the stream. Some of the recent viewers. Whether you've been tuned in all day long or just tuning in for the first time, greatly appreciate you all watching for today's live commentary stream of the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas. Time for a Stage 2 diecast showing for this week. And we've got a classic Terry Labonte diecast from the 2002 season. Wasn't sure if this was 2002 or 2003, so I had to look at the bottom of the card. 2002, and it is his Got Milk paint scheme from that year. Terry Labonte always had all the great paint schemes for me growing up as a kid. Old kid related with the Kellogg's sponsorship. And here's another one with the Got Milk. It's got the milk splattered all over the race car, black scheme otherwise. And the classic number 5 Hendrick Motorsports logo. Chevy Monte Carlo. And again, that is today's Stage 2 diecast showing for the race. More to come next weekend, north of Wilkesboro Speedway for the All-Star Race. Larson's definitely had the best short run car, so we'll see if he can get that lead back, but he will not be the control car on the restart for the first time. Could make a difference. Up to Chase Elliott to control the pacing on the next restart. And that said, restart will be coming up very shortly here on KRCU. Again, we'll take another break. You're listening live to the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas Speedway for the NASCAR Cup Series. I did take Tyler Reddick out of my fantasy lineup for today about midway through the race. Left him out. So I'll save the usage. Going to be using Chris Buescher for the first time this season. Along with Christopher Bell for the 4th time. Blaney for the 6th. Larson for the 6th. And Hamlin for the 3rd. So you can only use a driver up to 10 times throughout the course of the season.
Race so far, we had a surge of early cautions. A.J. Allmendinger, second straight DNF. Blue and Engineer, the 16 car. And then it was a couple of cars running second. William Byron with a tire blowing out, trying to enter pit row, the Daytona 500 winner. And he was second at the time. And even Denny Hamlin has won more races here than any driver in this race. Dropped left on a clutch issue. And then Larson, as Hamlin tried to challenge him, he's hoping to work his way back up, takes stage 1 and takes stage 2.
Yeah, unfortunately for Denny Hamlin, I think he might have the fast car, arguably. I mean, I know Larson's one, but Denny's not been able to get up front and show that. He clearly has an issue. I'm going to take him out of the race. Barry, though, has been a great story. Won at Las Vegas on a 1.5 miles earlier this year. Had that penalty, going to have to go to the back. Chris, I don't know if he has enough time to get back to the front, but the 21 has a really fast car.
Yeah, and the story of Zane Smith hanging in the top 10, looking for that first career win. No driver has ever won his first Cup race here at Kansas Speedway. They've been running here since 2001. We'll be back with post race a little later at the Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, and Clint Boyer.
Thanks, Chris. Getting ready for stage 3. And that race off pit road might have turned out differently had they not changed the timing line to coincide with the speed ending line, the yellow line at the end of pit road. Previously, the white line right there where Kyle Larson is was the timing line to reestablish the restart order, and Larson would have won the race off pit road. But now NASCAR standardizing at most tracks right there. That is the speed line, and now it is also the timing line for the race off pit road.
Yeah, I think it makes it a little more fair as you look at those timing lines and spreading those things out. So
We did not.
yeah, definitely changed the lineup right here.
Well, Kyle Larson, the best restarter among those who will restart in the top 5 here. Three drivers took the wave around. Ty Dillon, Michael McDowell, and Cole Custer to each get a lap back and move up into the 1 lap down or 2 lap down in the case of Dillon area. Denny Hamlin was 8th before pit stops and wound up coming out 13th after they had to push the car off. Here's some Kyle Larson radio.
Yeah, he's really good. I don't know how to be much better.
A run and middle of the run. We have a lot of ink. Like your balance. Kevin, how many times you told me that? Double rack rear.
You got to take care of it. You got to make sure that you take care of that so that the second half of these runs, we're going to see some more long runs as we come to this restart.
There is. Well, we haven't had really a short run other than the initial burst at the start of the race, which was 7 laps. Green flag is back in the air now. This time around, it's Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson on the front row again, but Elliott has the control car, side by side and nose to nose for the lead through the first turn. Denny Hamlin up the middle 3 wide, trying to get spots back that he lost on the last restart. He's alongside Joey Logano, while Larson on the high side is still trying to hold off Chase Elliott. Brad Keselowski's flirting with a top 3 spot in the running order. He's going to get by Christopher Bell up on the high side. Cleared Blaney also off of turn 4. Hamlin had a big moment and had to lift, and he lost all of the spots he gained on the front half of that opening lap following the restart. So Keselowski out of nowhere up to 3rd, and Chase Elliott leads for the 2nd time today. He was able to lead 1 lap on a restart, but couldn't pull clear of Larson early in stage 2. Now he's clear of Larson for the first time, after winning the race off of pit road and then controlling that last restart. Larson a little tight in the wake of the dirty air in the bottom of the racetrack through 3 and 4, loses more time to Chase Elliott. So now he's the chase car with 92 laps to go in the race. Lap 176 of 267 overall. Brad Keselowski charging hard on the inside of the track through turns 1 and 2. What an upset that'd be for Keselowski to win, considering he's outside the top 30 in points, hasn't scored a single top 10 yet this year, and here he is in contention for the race lead late.
I said before the race, we were talking about it coming on the air, almost in a must-win situation. We might win it right here today at Kansas Speedway.
Let's not forget, this stage is 17 laps longer than stage 2, which was 5 laps longer than stage 1. So each of these runs will be longer, meaning you got to take even better care of those tires than you did in the first 2 stages.
And we've seen this 5 and 20 car of Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson. They both fall off pretty bad at the end of this run, or at the end of these long runs. So those extra laps will definitely be interesting as you see Brad Keselowski try to finish that pass on that 5.
It's amazing when 2 cars get side by side how much it benefits the car behind them. Bell came from nowhere, 5, 6, 7 car lengths back and pulled right to their bumper. Where's he going to go? Might make it 3 wide, getting them a 3.
Now they're also drawing Blaney and Bowman to them as they run 3 wide.
This is as good a car as Brad's had all season long. He's going to give it everything.
And I think Brad knows that he's in a situation where he has an opportunity to win a race, and Brad's got a lot of experience. And I think when you look at his points position, he's going to have to win. As you see those cars almost come together on the turn 2.
Well, he needs to get it sorted out. Gonna have to save some tire. I believe that Larson was trying to do that on the takeoff speed here. But you see Elliott walk away from it, but Brad took it from him. Power move. How about that? Got the job done. I think he's showing a little bit of patience. You called it pulling those reins back. Cliff Daniels on his driver in the 5 car. Trying to get this thing down to the end, but you can't say enough about Keselowski. This is a huge turnaround for this team.
Keselowski 11 straight races without a top 10. Kyle Busch 7 straight on 1.5 tracks. He is currently 15.
The other thing that I was saying, watching that 5 car run the bottom of the racetrack, I actually think that running the bottom of the racetrack is worse than anything else that you can do. I think the middle and up will make those tires last a lot longer.
Larry, let's talk about Kyle Larson and Cliff Daniels' strategy for this final run.
Well, what I'm seeing is he cannot get back to the throttle on the way to the corner. When he tries to pick it up, back up, he has to play with it a lot longer than Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, and even Christopher Bell. He just cannot get back to the throttle and stay in.
And speaking of Keselowski, who has really distanced Larson right now, Brad's running a top 2 position in only one of the last 10 races before today. So a banner day for RFK. All right, we're going to go back and pick up Eric Jones in the 43 from Legacy Motor Club. And AdventHealth is going to take us for an inside ride with Eric Jones. Gregson is not for position. Gregson is on the left lap. Jones currently among those cars one lap down. He is chasing down there. He's chasing Corey Heim, and the next car behind him that he is racing is Austin Dillon.
Yeah, you can feel the corner. Really hear him pedaling that car. When you get to the center of the corner, these cars just want to slide all the way up off. So definitely have to manage it like he's doing right there.
83 laps to go here today at the Kansas Speedway. Lead is 1.5 seconds for Chase Elliott over Brad Keselowski. Kyle Larson in the third spot is 2.7 seconds off the lead. Fourth is 4 seconds back of Christopher Bell, and Alex Bowman quietly up to fifth, and also 4.4 seconds off the lead. So 3 Hendrick Chevys in the top 3 positions, first, third, and fifth. Only Ford in the top 5 is Keselowski in second. And this is the first time we've seen Keselowski up in the top 5 all day today. He was 7th at the end of stage 2, had a great restart, gained 6 positions. And look at him go. Only Toyota obviously would be Bell up in the top 5 and 4th. Only other Toyota in the top 10 would be Denny Hamlin in 7th. Chase Briscoe quietly up to 11th, just outside the top 10. After running very deep in the field in the early going, had to start at the rear of the field at the beginning of the race. We haven't had many cautions, so not able to make up a lot of ground on an alternate strategy or pit stops. Having to do it the traditional way under mostly green flag action.
You got your driver up to the front, told me you could pass your way.
Regan Smith is talking with Jeremy Bolins, crew chief of Keselowski's car.
The last stop right and try to make the right adjustment to stay with the track. It's getting a little bit tighter, what it seems like, so just got to make the right decision. All right, looking good. Thanks for talking to us.
Keselowski 1.6 seconds off the lead held by Chase Elliott. But is he the only car that's passed Kyle Larson all day? Not counting the restart.
Yeah.
Chase passing out pits, right? So yes, that's correct.
Larson's fallen now 2.8 seconds off the lead. He was about a 10th quicker than Chase Elliott that last lap. But Larson may be backing off the pace a bit more on the front portion of this run, trying to save his tires, knowing how bad the tire wear was on the long runs in the first 2 stages, specifically stage 2, more so than stage 1. Stage 1, he had just a bigger lead on Chase Elliott. He had nothing left of his tires there by the end of stage 2 with that long green flag run. And for some reason, stage 3 goes caution free. That's why he's going to have to save those tires a little more, because this stage overall is 22 laps longer than stage 1 and 17 laps longer than what stage 2 was. Still, our only caution for incident was all the way back on lap 7 with the AJ Allmendinger engine failure and leaving possible fluid on the track. Hamlin catching Christopher Bell for fourth after just getting by Ryan Blaney recently. Clutch issues for Denny Hamlin's going to make it tough on the pit stop side of things, but doing a great job trying to keep himself in it otherwise. Keselowski starting to trim that lead down on Chase Elliott just a little bit. No lap traffic for Elliott that he's really worked through yet at this point in the run. Michael McDowell is on the pit road. Unscheduled stop, I do believe. He was already a lap down. Still outside the fuel window, which is 62 to 66 laps at Kansas, as we have 75 laps to go this time by. Just over a calendar year since Chase Elliott's last win in the NASCAR Cup Series. He hasn't won at Kansas since the fall of 2018. Ty Dillon also on pit road. Again, likely unscheduled. Unless they took the wave around hoping for a quick yellow. It's the only other thing I can think of as to why those two cars that were already off the lead lap had hit pit road. Cole Custer is now in as well. They had to have taken the wave around. There's no way that many cars are pitting this early in the stage when they're outside the fuel window yet. To Chase Elliott, but Kyle Larson still losing time on an inconsistent basis to that of Elliott. Bubba Wallace, Austin Cindric on screen. Both off the lead lap and outside the top 20 as they battle. Both of them had penalties in the race on pit road during green flag stops. Wallace in stage 1, stage 2 for Cindric. Lap car of Cole Custer on the inside of Elliott, and now Keselowski's up against the wall in turns 1 and 2. And the caution flag is going to come out. Oh, my goodness. Best day of the year by far for Keselowski until now.
For Brad Keselowski.
Wow.
And that's really been the story of the year. Every time
oh my God,
something like this happens.
From second. Right front fail?
Unbelievable. They heard him on the radio talk about blowing a tire. You can see right there, the right rear's down.
Right rear.
And we talked about it, Clint. As this day went on, who was going to be brave on that rear air pressure? And obviously, they got it down lower, that speed picked up, got towards the front, then the pace picks up for them, and boom. Yeah. Such a fine line.
But look what it was doing for them. I mean, there's a reason you push it.
Larry, so minimums, let's go to this. We talked about this yesterday in practice. Minimums that they recommend, right? It's, what'd you say, 22 pounds? 22 pounds in the left rear, 46 PSI in the right rear, but we know for a fact, talking to Goodyear all year long, teams probably go 4 to 5 pounds lower than that because there's more performance there, the lower you can drop those pressures, but step into the durability range. Or you step into that dragon's mouth, you're living in it. And, you know, this air pressure, when you talk about it being lower here, it affects the car more than just about anywhere else that we go. When I drove these next-gen cars, this was the place where if you could get that pressure lower, it made the car feel so much better because it gets the back of the car down. And it's just it's a place that is just so sensitive to what the edge is.
And everybody on pit road just learned a little bit from that. This is from yesterday's practice. And Keselowski was one of those. Brad lost a tire yesterday.
Yeah, we had 4 left rears and one this right rear on the 38 car right here. So it is definitely, you got to live on that edge. And the hard part is when you're running 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and then you say, well, all the tires look good. And then you get up there 2nd, 3rd. The pace picks up and then the travel picks up and the way that you're on those limiters changes and that spike, that load that goes into the tire starts to go up and then you see things like this happen.
Now, once that wrecker hooks you up, they have to tow the car to the garage, can't come back to pit road. Brad will not get a top 5 or top 10 today, but that doesn't have to be a DNF. They are eligible to make repairs and bring that car back out on track and try to get up to minimum speed. But 2 days in a row, 2 tire issues for Brad K.
Well, Larry Mack, we're 31 laps into this stage with 71 to go. What do we do?
It's calls like this that made me follically challenged right here because they're right there on the threshold. Remember, the fuel window is somewhere around 64 to 66 laps. Right now, we're coming to 70 to go. Probably go back racing about 67 to go. We're just right there on the fuel window. Everybody will be coming though.
16 cars on the lead lap. Plus, I believe John Hunter Nemechek will get the free pass on this caution flag, which is the fourth of the day.
I heard.
So, who's going to be first off pit road?
Well, you want to be the first one off to get control of that restart, so we're going to find out.
Josh.
But Chase Elliott been on both sides of the balance so far today. They got the 3 and 4 really good, but he still needs some help in turns 1 and 2 right now, Jamie.
All right, let's watch this up for Denny Hamlin. No clutch here. Picker will do the work, and they're going to assist the driver. We just told Denny, remember, keep your foot on the brake the entire stop. When we drop the jack on the left side, we're off the brake. It's taking so much time getting it refired and into the mirror here. So, Regan.
Kyle Larson wants the field thing out. The balance got better for him right initially.
Larson.
It's motionless on pit road.
Chase Elliott lost.
Did you hear how high you had that thing revved out?
Chase Elliott's outside of the top 10
A
now.
couple times.
Look at, this is not the one I want to be looking at. Chase Elliott had trouble, right rear trouble, big shakeup in the front of the field.
And Christopher Bell wins the race off pit road.
What a stop by that 20 team. 3 positions gained in the pits for Bell. Hamlin stalls out on pit road with obviously not having that clutch. That drops him out of the top 5. Chase Elliott, who was the leader after winning the race off pit road, the stop before. Terrible stop by that 9 team. I don't know where they're at right now, but they're well outside the top 10. Got to wait for our leaderboard to update when they get to the start-finish line this time by. But we do know Bell is the leader, Larson is second, and Ryan Blaney will be third. Fourth caution of the day, our first for incident of stage 3, our second for incident in the race entirely, first since lap 7. We're currently working lap 198. Twelve lead changes, just over 2 hours and 10 minutes into the race for where we're at right now. For the first time, Christopher Bell has led all day long at the Kansas Speedway. He never won here. His best finish is third 2 different times. 4 career poles at Kansas. Didn't qualify on the pole yesterday. Qualified third, but he's been quietly up in the top 5. He hasn't favored as well in the long run, but the short run's been okay. Can he hold off some hard chargers just behind? Joey Logano's pit crew. Great stop by that 22 team, by the way. He's up to 4th out of nowhere. What a stop. And while running outside the top 10 most of the day today, he's in contention for maybe another win if we get into restart after restart like we did last week in Texas. Definitely going to be an interesting watch. We work ourselves closer and closer and closer to the finish of this race. Going to be right on the edge of the fuel window when we get back going racing as well. Fuel window 62 to 66 laps. We're going to have just over 67, 68 laps to go in the restart. So that could be something to watch out for here in the closing portion of this race if we stay green all the way to the end. If it turns into a fuel mileage race, maybe look out for Joey Logano, who's up to 4th. He's won a couple of those in the last year, Nashville and Las Vegas in the fall last season.
There have been 23 caution flags within 5 laps of a restart here at Kansas in the Gen 7 Cup car.
Well, it definitely tends to get more physical as we start to get closer to the end of these races because these guys know they're running out of laps.
All right, so trouble for Chase Elliott. He had a 14.7 second pit stop. While changing the right rear, it appears that the jack dropped too soon before the wheel was firmly fitted, and the jackman had to come back. Watch the right rear and the jackman.
And they had to raise the car again to make sure that that right rear was centered and on tight. 14-7. Back to 12th place. Puts him back to 12th place.
Oh, Hamlin's going to the
Denny Hamlin's
garage.
car pushed it back to the garage. It
Wow.
sounded like he was revving that thing awfully high, trying to get it going.
Yeah, and I think that it was going to be a tough task to ask for this car to survive the way that they were having to put it in gear. So definitely not the situation that 11 team wanted to be in with that clutch issue.
It was a matter of time, wasn't it?
I think so.
I agree.
Such a tough break for Hamlin. It's going to be 2 DNFs in a row if he can't get back out on the racetrack after having some pretty solid runs at the start of the Texas race last week and car catching fire early on in the going and now here this week as well. Green flag is in the air. It's Bell and Larson on the front row for the restart. Logano, big block on Briscoe going to the apron, and now 3 wide for the lead into the first turn. Larson was pushing Blaney before entering the first turn. Bell, who was the initial leader on the restart, is now no longer side by side. We've got a crash. Suarez, Ty Dillon are around. Cody Ware involved off turn 2.
Cody Ware, Daniel Suarez.
And we've seen this happen here so many times, Clint. As we get late in these races, these guys just get so aggressive, and it happens a lot here in Kansas.
I think Logano got Larson. Really, really close.
That restart.
Back to the last scoring loop that they crossed before the caution flag waved to determine that.
Joe Logano's got to be the best restarter in NASCAR today. My goodness.
The way they go 3 wide, 4 wide on this restart, it may be hard to figure out how this one started. But we'll have a look.
You see the 10 car getting loose on the bottom of the racetrack, go up the hill, hit the 51, and 99, just an innocent bystander there.
Trying to take evasive action and nowhere to go.
You can see when those cars got sideways, those leaders were door to door.
Kyle Larson is the race leader at this 5th caution flag.
Barely.
From Todd Gilliland's view. Now let's go back to the last scoring loop that they crossed before the caution flag, and there was the difference.
Game of inches.
Kyle Larson to Joey Logano for the lead. All right, let's catch our breath with 66 laps to go. As we watch from Torino.
Top dozen for the next restart following the caution on this most recent restart here in stage 3. We have Kyle Larson back in the lead once again. Joey Logano almost got to the lead, scored in second at the time of the yellow by a nose behind Larson, who was inside of row 3, took it 3 wide to the bottom for the lead. Bell, who was in the lead on the restart, ends up falling to 3rd, and then Ryan Blaney 4th, Chase Briscoe 5th. Alex Bowman would be the 6th place car, Ryan Preece 7th, Chris Buescher 8th, Chase Elliott 9th. Zane Smith rounds out the top 10 still. Tyler Reddick, Carson Hocevar 11th and 12th. Back-to-back yellows now. More cautions in stage 3 already than we saw in any of the first 2 stages combined. 2 of them. 1 in the first 2 stages combined. Not counting the stage yellows at lap 80 and lap 165. If you're tuned into the stream, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more weekend NASCAR content like this for every NASCAR race weekend for Truck, Xfinity, and Cup races, as well as Cup practice and qualifying. That will continue even when NASCAR goes to Amazon Prime Video for just over a month, beginning at the end of this month with the Coca-Cola 600. Our lone IndyCar stream of the year, the Indianapolis 500, will be live on the channel as well in 2 weeks from today. Kyle Larson going to be pulling off the double. We'll see how he'll do. We'll take a quick break here and continue our live commentary coverage of the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas. Things are definitely going to get gritty. 3 drivers who qualified up in the top 5, though, still remain 1, 2, 3. The fastest laps of the race was on the second lap of the race earlier as well. Logano, Larson, Logano, and Bell, specifically in that order.
Indy tradition that became official in 1956. Who is the only winner who did not drink the milk in Victory Lane?
Oh, then you can't do that. I don't know who it is, but who is? I think it was Emerson. What was that?
Fittipaldi, and you are right. He's from Brazil, and they own a lot of orange groves. The Fittipaldi family does. He was unaware of the milk tradition and chose to drink the family's orange juice in Victory Lane. That was not popular. There it is. There's the quart of orange juice right there. Now, before the 500, the Dairy Association of Indiana polls every single driver for what kind of milk they want to drink.
Oh,
should they end up in Victory Lane?
There you go.
That way, there's no orange juice and no questions.
Chocolate fountain.
I guess that'd be a choice. Okay. All right. Here's Kyle Larson's radio.
I know you're doing a good job playing the deal right now. Keep it up. We will be right at the lap of making it to the end of the race. So be aware of that. We'll get a point for Selena. She's racing it out.
Wait. Salinas is a town in California. It's not like north of Monterey.
That's code words, what that is. Let me tell you, Mister, where'd he come from? Won this race last week in Texas, Logano, and then Chase Briscoe. Haven't seen these guys all day long. Here they are running in the top 5.
Well, that's the MO with this 22 team. I mean, they sit there, they make their car better, they grind, get a couple on this restart, a couple on that restart, and then they wind up in position when everybody's having trouble.
Speaking of trouble, Denny Hamlin's in the garage area, and let's watch and listen to why. Remember, he's had clutch trouble all day. Hard to get that car going.
Well, their strategy has been rest the engine up, we're going to push you, and then try to slam it into here. And the gears finally said, oh, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, revving. I heard Kevin you say revving it up and put it in gear. I mean, that's you have to match the RPM to what that input shouts, and when it puts in, you go from the high RPM. Eventually, that's just following. You're in big trouble. You don't have a clutch. You push the clutch, you get the gauge, and get the thing in gear. Those gears can only take so much.
They managed it. They managed it pretty well.
Heck yeah, lots of longer than lost.
Yeah.
So here's the choose from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. We're celebrating 100 years of an American icon with your blend. So Larson was the leader at the caution. He chooses the inside against Logano for the front row. Bell and Blaney, Briscoe and Bowman, Smith and Priest. Busher and Elliott, the top 10. We will restart with 24 cars on the lead lap, including the free pass car, Bubba Wallace.
Their teammates on the outside, can they work together? Push one of them around this 5 car. They're going to try.
Well, it's all about the launch and who can be connected first. And if you can get launched with that car behind you connected, that's what gets that good run into turn 1.
All right, so Larson versus Logano on the front row for this next restart. Joey Logano almost took the lead from 3rd place, so outside of row 1, we'll see what he can do here. And I think he's got his teammate Ryan Blaney on the outside behind him, should get a helpful push. Joey Logano as his dirt racing rival, Christopher Bell, behind him. Great launch for Kyle Larson. He had a massive shot from Bell in the restart zone. He timed that out well. Couple cars going 3 wide, nearly 4 into turn 1. Justin Haley has to lift to get off the apron entering the corner. Scramble everywhere just outside the top 10. Side by side for 2nd place down the back straightaway between Bell and Logano as Larson continues to lead. Trouble! Kyle Busch is around, middle of the back straightaway. He slides after contact from the car to the outside of him. And he just keeps it off the inside wall entering turn 3. But the yellow flag is out. And we'll have another restart yet again. 60 laps to go.
Caution flag. Lap 208. Oh, now he's stuck. Not going to be able to go. This might cost him a lap. Now the driver can stay in the car, ask for a push, or ask for the wrecker to give him a lift, in which case he'd have to go back to the garage. Hate me a push. Now, let's go back to the replay here, but I think he's going to be frustrated. Well, he was on the inside of 3 cars. That'd be 4 wide. Obviously, down here on the bottom, Kyle Busch, but 3 on the outside. I think they get into the wall, into one another. Watch this. Bounce, 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 hit him. Innocent bystander. So frustrated.
Yeah, and that's very easy to do in this Gen 7 car. When another car hits that right front tire, it immediately just takes that car out from underneath you.
What a job he does keeping this car off of the inside wall. Keeping it locked down, and then as it turns off the brake, do some steering, keep it away from that wall, and then it spins again. But most importantly, it didn't hit the wall.
Didn't hit the wall. He's going to lose a lap on pit road because he got stuck in the grass a little bit right there. But you're going to see. I think they're just 4 wide there, Clint. That's really the problem.
That's exactly because they were. Watch the 1 car on the outside. See Chastain up on the top. He got to wiggling, whether he was bouncing the wall or whatever. He got into the right side of the 21. Josh Perry down into Noah Gregson into Kyle Busch.
All it took. Courting effect.
I think they're just 4 wide there, Clint. That's really the problem.
That's exactly because they were. Watch the 1 car on the outside. See Chastain up on the top. He got to wiggling, whether he was bouncing the wall or whatever. He got into the right side of the 21. Josh Perry down into Noah Gregson into Kyle Busch. I mean, almost halfway down the straightaway, out of nowhere. That's kind of croquet. Barry was getting squeezed. He moves to the left a little bit to give himself some room. That hits Gregson into Busch, and Busch for the wild ride.
He just wound up being the last one in the link in the chain.
Exactly. Jamie.
Well, we've been documenting Denny Hamlin's race all day. Fast car, no clutch from the beginning, Denny. But that last stop, take us through what exactly led to this point and you being out of the race.
Yeah, it's just I think eventually broke the transaxle trying to leave the stall there. So unfortunate for the Progressive Toyota team. Just really fast again. Just can't keep it together right now.
We'll see you at the All-Star race next week. Mike?
Thanks, Jamie. Tough day for Denny Hamlin with no clutch. Shane Van Gisbergen will get the free pass. On this, the 6th caution flag of the day. 59 laps to go in Kansas. We'll take you back side by side.
Weird that they have a side-by-side commercial break airing during a caution flag, but we have that nevertheless. 58 laps to go. Kyle Larson, Joey Logano going to be in the front row for yet another restart. Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, row 2. Row 3 for probably Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe upcoming. Chris Buescher, Zane Smith, 7th and 8th. Couple of cautions on the first lap following a restart. Been a minute since we've had a green flag lap ran. EZE Network, welcome into the stream. Seabell could be a sleeper in this. He could, but he has been firing off well on the restarts compared to a couple of those around him. Attention, you put yourself in those front 4 positions. And I think he's still got a shot going into say, an overtime restart. A little harder for row 3 on back. Unless the leaders take each other out. Those front 2 rows is where you want to be, and obviously even more so to be on the front row. Look plausible. Kyle Busch does fall off the lead lap following his spin. Free pass has been awarded to Shane Van Gisbergen. John Hunter Nemechek the caution before that with the Cody Ware, Daniel Suarez, and Ty Dillon deal. John Hunter Nemechek got the free pass with that caution. So 24 cars are on the lead lap. William Byron would be the first car off of the lead lap as of this next restart. Chase Elliott, after having a slow pit stop in the Jackman, his team's back in the top 10, up to 10. So he's had a couple of good restarts in a row to try to get himself back up there, or at least a little bit closer to the front of the field than what he was already running.
Laps to go. Let's check in with Josh.
Well, Brad Keselowski was having such a strong run out there. First of all, because you feel the tire going down, and how do you process this tough end to it? What was a good day for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good day. It's going to be a great day. I feel like we had a shot to win with the later Ford Mustang. Pretty car. It's not pretty anymore. Yeah, no, I didn't really have much of a warn. I just wanted to turn one. I heard a big boom, and around it went. So it's unfortunate, you know, playing to win, and we're right in the spot to do just that, and didn't come together.
Glad you're okay, Brad. Thanks. Good to go.
Thanks, Josh.
Wow. It has been a heck of a string of bad luck for Brad and this 16, but glad to see them have the speed today. That's definitely something that we haven't seen out of that 6 car over the last, well, really the start of the season. We haven't seen the speed like he had today, so that's a sign of good things to come, hopefully.
Are going to have to choose this time by. Then we're going to have another look at what happened that ended up with Kyle Busch going for that wild slide. Might not have been 3 cars, might have been 4 involved. But first, let's see. As Larson takes the inside, Logano goes to the outside, and Bell follows him. So that will put Alex Bowman on Larson's bumper for the restart. Let's hear Josh Berry's radio, and then we'll have another look here. And here's what he's talking about.
Yeah, and it looks like the 21 and the 1, you know, the 21 is in a spot where he's got 2 cars below him, gets kind of shoved up into the,
touched
the
him
1
there.
car. Yeah, and then it looks like the 1 might have swerved at him there a little bit, and that's what started that chain reaction there with the 8.
Yeah, you can see it right here.
Yep.
Here's Kyle Busch's view. All right, pace car.
Well, it's probably going to be a couple more people upset with not Kyle Busch, with Ross Chastain yet again following another race. Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, front row for the restart. Green flag back in the air. Good launch for Logano on the outside of row 1. Larson trying to hang with him into the first turn. Christopher Bell going to try to get his spots back to get to the front of the field after winning the race out of the pits a little bit ago. Is outside of Logano. Logano gets loose. Blaney up against the wall just behind that. And we've got another crash. And this time it's Eric Jones and Justin Haley. The caution flag is out again. Bubba Wallace is sideways. Way down into the next corner. I don't know what's going on there. Right front of his car is all sorts of bashed in. 3 cautions without getting a green flag lap in on these late restarts here at Kansas. Still 54 laps to go. Looks like the right rear's definitely flat. Maybe a toe link issue on the 23, and he was trying to drive it back onto pit road at a higher speed. Justin Haley's just going to back his car up to pit road. The old Kyle Busch route. Getting a replay of exactly how this happened. 4 wide caused the incident before this. Well, they were 4 wide again. Corey Heim slides up into the left rear of Justin Haley. And Haley and Jones were the two cars on the outside. They get pinched against the wall. Austin Dillon also looked like he might have clipped Haley after Haley had spun backwards against the fence off of turn 2. Start and stop. Bubba took a pretty hard hit into the wall after that. The right front of his car. Debris all the way down the back straightaway. All these incidences on the restart are coming from the middle or back of the pack with these last 3 cautions. Everybody in the front half of the field has been pretty clean for the most part. Blaney scrubbed up against the wall on the exit of turn 2. I don't think that bottlenecked anything with how far back that this incident took place. But Blaney lost a couple spots, falling to 6th. The 5 ahead of him would be Chase Briscoe in 5th, Alex Bowman 4th, Joe Logano 3rd. Christopher Bell got to 2nd after going to the outside 3 wide on the restart. Kyle Larson is still the leader again, as he has been for most of the day. Still got the Xfinity Fastest Lap Award. He won the first 2 stages, trying to get the 61-point max points day. He's led 168 of 215 laps so far. So again, the 4 drivers involved in the incident: Austin Dillon, Justin Haley, Bubba Wallace, and Eric Jones. Zane Smith the win, says Ashton Spinkle in the chat. I keep looking at him. He's still right around 7th, 8th this whole time. He finished 2nd at Nashville last season when we had a bunch of restarts in overtime. Granted, this one we still have 53 laps to go. We'll get green flag racing in here at some point. What was a fast race pace for the longest time? We've had 4 cautions without a green flag lap to be ran. 3 restarts in there. Eric Jones's crew going to work on his car in the garage. Jones going to stay in the car so he can return to the track if they do make the repairs before the end of the race. Corey Heim back down onto pit road after sliding up into Justin Haley, causing that incident. He's got some scuff marks on the right rear, right front fender of his cars. Yeah, waiting to see where this goes. Showing the replay of the accident that took place on the camera angle off turn 2 just before that. It actually looked like Blaney might have kept it off the wall. On the aerial shot live as it happened, he definitely slowed down, and he was very close to the wall. I assumed he had hit it, but it looked like he probably just lifted to keep from hitting it. And that's where he lost his couple spots. Delbert Wilson, welcome into the stream. $50 laps to go this time by. Late in the going here at the Kansas Speedway. Listening live on KRC to the AdventHealth 400. We'll take another break while we await yet another restart late. Restart after restart after restart. Patrick Rosser, welcome to the stream also. $60 likes so far on our goal to get to 100. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. So for the longest time in this race, A.J. Allmendinger was the only one out. Other drivers that joined him in the garage out of the race would include Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, Ty Dillon, Daniel Suarez. And I would assume Bubba Wallace is going to be done. We saw Eric Jones pull to the garage. Justin Haley's probably going to be done as well. Cody Ware might be out also. Scored 4 laps down. I'm not sure if that's in the garage or on the track. 4 laps down in the incident he was involved in a couple of restarts prior. Yeah, the more restarts that we get, better and better on fuel will be to the end of the race. Because remember, we were initially a little bit outside the window, and now we've had 3 cautions back to back to back with no green flag laps on these tires other than a couple launches through the restart zone and maybe a half a lap here and there. Tires on their cars right now, no need to have to pit.
To go in the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas.
Stephen Provost, thanks for tuning in.
Let's take a look at what's coming around the turn.
I Napa know how to win.
NHRA is back in action at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1. For us, it's the NASCAR All-Star Race Weekend. Coverage Friday through Sunday.
Fast forward on the broadcast a little bit. I think I fell behind. It lagged a couple restarts ago.
It's that 500 out there.
You probably won't even make it to the 600, but
Oh, that's a long day.
yeah, that's
As a fan.
you start talking
Way better
working.
All right, Kyle Larson ranks the best on restarts of the top 5. As we get ready to go back to green, he's got Christian Bell alongside. How many epic battles have these two had? And are we in for another one today?
Big shot out of his teammate 48 behind him. Bowman pushed him way up in front of the field.
A very orderly restart.
Oh, Reddick!
Oh, Reddick almost around.
Got hit by Chastain. Go figure.
Looked like I caught the right front fender there of Todd Gill and there on the inside that yellow Love's car.
Larson out by himself. Bowman and Bell for second. And Logano almost into the wall off turn 4 as he and Priest battles. That allows Briscoe in the 19 to
That was a massive run by Chase Briscoe right there in that 19 car. Cleared both of them. Halfway down the straightaway.
But Briscoe's taken off. 4-car single file front of the field.
Yeah, and it wasn't long ago we were talking about Chase Briscoe and just being happy with the backside of the top 10 finish. Now he's up there 4th place, having a chance to contend for this win.
Chase Elliott fell back to 16th from 10th on the restart.
A massive run by Chase Briscoe right there in that 19 car. Cleared both of them. Halfway down the straightaway.
But Briscoe's taken off. 4-car single file front of the field.
Yeah, and it wasn't long ago we were talking about Chase Briscoe and just being happy with the backside of the top 10 finish. Now he's up there 4th place, having a chance to contend for this win.
Carson Hosevar is up to 7.
Side Hosevar with Busher. And further back, there's the fight with Josh Berry. Nowhere to go on Chase Elliott. With Cindric up above. And Chastain. Whoa.
Yeah, you see that 21 get tight right there under the 2 of Austin Cindric. This is the part that's interesting, knowing that right rear tire on the 5 car is what wears out, Clint. You see him in the middle of the racetrack. Everything tells you that you want to run as high as you can to save that right rear tire. You see it high through turns 1 and 2, but Blaney on the inside of the 22 car right there.
Yeah, Blaney makes the pass. They almost traded paint at the start-finish line, and Logano comes right back after him.
Let's go back to this restart. We saw Reddick almost turned around in front of a lot of cars. Did a good job saving it. Look up here in the top of your screen.
Oh, they checked up and in front of him.
Yeah.
And the 1 car got to the back of the 45 car and all but turned him.
Yeah, watch this. Watch back to the back. Chastain
Hold on for the Cowboy.
You see the difference in you see Bowman try to time it right there, and
He did.
Kyle Larson has been waiting until deep in this restart zone. And that strategy, that's the third time in a row that strategy has worked out for him.
Launch that car out. Now Blaney won the battle with Logano, and that allowed Hocevar to come up on the inside and take the spot away from the 22. That's now 7th place.
We haven't heard a lot about Carson Hocevar as we've gone through this day, but he's solid inside the top 10, running 7th.
Won the truck race yesterday, a wild last lap finish with Lane Riggs. Had a great week, great race going last week in Texas. And now Chris Buescher is part of this battle for 7th.
Yeah, and as fast as that 6 car was earlier, even though we think that the air pressure might have been too low, there has to be something that transfers in between those teams. We saw Chris have some trouble earlier in the race on pit road and has steadily started to work his way back towards the front of the field.
Yeah, all the RFK cars have had speed today. Keselowski as high as 2nd and Priest currently 5th. Jamie.
Alex Bowman, the best he's run all day. Third right now, it's a battle with the dirt trackers up front. They have high hopes coming in. Blake Harris, his crew chief, told me this morning, intermediate tracks is their strength, and they really felt like they had something they could compete with, especially against their teammate Kyle Larson. They've been a little bit tight in the center, nothing abnormal. They've been adjusting every stop, and this 48 car is on it right now, Regan.
Well, Jamie, just to update Chris Buescher, who we've mentioned had the bad pit stop earlier, has been working on the car throughout the day. A pit stop ago, they actually sat on pit road for an extended stop. They opted to make a right rear shock adjustment, figuring that they could get the track position back and that the only way they'd be good enough to keep it in the top 10 was to do that. It's worked out. He had fallen back to somewhere around the early 20s after that stop, and now he's back up in the top 10.
8th right now, for sure. That was the 3rd Ford in the race, with Priest 5th and Blaney 6th. Chick-fil-A, first, 3rd, and 7th. 40 laps to go. Larry, what are the trends?
Well, Mike, I'm sad to say this will be my last race trend of 2025. I have trends for the All-Star race, but I went back and looked at the last 6 Kansas races with Gen 7 car. Average caution, we're all but right there at 230 with 37 laps to go. And 2 out of 3 races here at Kansas, including a year ago, we had a caution that sent us into overtime.
So the mixed strategy is you want to be in the lead right now. What you tell me?
You better believe it, because I think it got enough fuel to go the distance.
Well, if this race does wind up going green, I think that the interesting piece of the puzzle is knowing Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell all day have fallen off at the end of these runs. So if it does go green, about lap 20 is where it could get really, really interesting to see where those cars are.
So, do you pull the reins on Larson now and have him ease the car so that he has enough left for the finish? Or do you let him run his race the way he wants?
I'm glad you asked that because I've been watching these lap times. Well, as to say that, he jumped up and was quite a bit faster, but he was matching their lap times and say there's Bell and Bowman behind him. And I think that's exactly what happens right now. Just keep the distance the same. Try to save me as much tire as you can. You're going to need it at the end.
Let's check with Josh.
Unfortunate early ends of the day for Bubble Launch. Bubble, what happened there from your perspective? What did you see?
I'm not really sure. I don't know if it was a 67 and got into somebody, but I tried to just hang a lap and stay in the gas, and we just got clipped in the right rear, unfortunate. But I hate it. You know, it all kind of stemmed from our penalty early on, and we tried so hard to fight back, but it just wasn't meant to be. I had a lot of confidence coming into this race. Felt good about it yesterday, but just not our day, not our last couple of weeks. But again, it's Mother's Day. Excited to go home and see my wife and our baby boy and focus on that. Appreciate your time, buddy.
Yeah, Bubba's team had an equipment interference penalty on the first caution today, back at lap 8, but working their way back toward the front of 6. Larry Mack?
Yeah, I've been watching the 5-car Kyle Larson. We talked about maybe saving those tires just a little bit, maybe even still saving a little bit of fuel. When he gets out of the throttle, he comes completely out, lets it go for just a little bit through the middle of the corner, and then he doesn't just stab the throttle. He eases back into it, where Bale is nailing the throttle, but the bottom line is Larson's still faster.
Got that clean air.
That was something that you always focused on with this car. Any throttle would really help accelerate that car through the middle of the corner. And I think when Larry's talking about that partial throttle, he's probably able to go back to it a little bit sooner, get a little bit of throttle down, and that really spikes that minimum speed up.
Good battle here. Chase Elliott, Zane Smith, Josh Berry, as they fight for 12th place.
Both of those cars have had some trouble on pit road. The 9 and the 21 you see in the screen. Zane Smith, he's had a pretty solid day all day. We talked well about his car yesterday, and that has carried over into the race today.
Well, heartbreaker for Chase Elliott. Everybody on the 9 are struggles in the pits. I mean, that car was your leader when that happened.
Ooh, and they all converge at the exit of the corner.
I said near, not clear. That was close.
Kyle Larson out front now by a second and a half. This trend, is this disturbing that his lead continues to grow? Does that indicate he's not conserving this car?
I don't think
He's conserving.
I don't think he's conserving it.
You don't?
I don't know.
Do you think he knows how to conserve?
That's my point. I don't know that he knows how to conserve it because of his style.
Run.
And I think that's sometimes when you have a car that falls off at the end, you want to get as far out the front as possible to see if you can manage that gap when you start to fall off. So maybe it falls off no matter what pace he goes, but it doesn't seem to me like there's a very consistent save strategy. And if there is a safe strategy, he's still got some room that he can give up.
That's what I was going to say. There's two ways of looking at it.
And again, this lap, he is a 10th faster than Bell and Bowman.
Larson and Bell ran their fastest laps of the race all the way back on lap 2 after starting in the front 3 positions, while the 3 drivers behind them in the top 5 of Bowman, Briscoe, and Preece all ran their fastest laps on this most recent restart back at lap 220, roughly 17 laps ago. The lead is 1.5 seconds, second and a half between Larson and Bell at the front of the field. 2.4 seconds back to Alex Bowman in third. Chase Briscoe's in fourth, 2.8 seconds off the lead. In fifth is Ryan Preece, sixth for Ryan Blaney. Seventh place is Carson Hocevar, Chris Buescher, eighth, Joey Logano, ninth, and Tyler Reddick rounds out the top 10. 11th place for Jonathan Nemechek, Chase Elliott, 12th, Josh Berry, 13th, Zane Smith, 14th, and 15th is Austin Cindric. Shout out to Corey Hyman, 16th place in just his 4th career Cup start, first of 2025. Todd Gillen in 17th, Ross Chastain in 18th, Noah Gragson 19th, and Shane Van Gisbergen in 20th. 21st for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Austin Dillon 22nd is the last car in the lead lap. He has damage from an earlier incident, though, so he's like 9 seconds off the next closest car in the lead lap, so he should be going a lap down soon. As of right now, William Byron's in the free pass spot in 23rd, with Kyle Busch behind him a lap down in 24th. Then Michael McDowell is 25th, Cole Custer 26th, 2 laps down. Ty Gibbs 27th, Riley Herbst 28th, Jesse Love 29th, and Justin Haley 30th. 31st for Cody Ware, and then everybody from 32nd on back is out of the race. Eric Jones 32nd, Bubba Wallace 33rd, Daniel Suarez 34th, Ty Dillon 35th, Denny Hamlin 36th, Brad Keselowski 37th, and AJ Allmendinger rounds out our 38-car field. 27 laps to go here at the Kansas Speedway. Now it's a 1.8 second lead for Kyle Larson. Has he grown his lead out too much too early? Or is he able to do so and manage the tires well to the end? He's still running the faster laps of anybody on the racetrack. Again, 26 to go.
The expectations that come with Kansas Speedway and 2311. I mean, these guys are usually lights out here. Bubba had trouble on pit road, but this 45 has definitely not had the speed that we expected for sure. So hard to finish those passes. You see John Hunter on the middle lane right there. We thought he was going to go by Tyler Reddick, but that momentum that this top lane carries makes it so difficult to finish that pass anywhere underneath the top lane.
Well, you can see the distance that he gained right in the middle
In
of
the
the corner.
fence.
When he gained a lot of distance through the center of the corner, carried a lot of speed, and then lost it on the exit and hit the fence.
Now they're going to have company because Chase Elliott and Josh Berry are closing in on this duo.
Well, those are two of the best cars in the field. We talked earlier about Chase Elliott leading this race earlier on. Josh Berry having plenty of capability in that car. It's just that one thing or another. Not work out his way and a penalty on pit road. So two of the fastest cars in the field battling for 12th and 13th.
Chase got loose.
Berry up to 12th. Nemechek tries it again, drops to the bottom. And those two are catching Joey Logano.
And I think the longer that this goes, and we see Logano right there in the mix, in front of these guys starting to fade a little bit as this run goes on.
Reddick, big run on the high side there. And he cuts the gap to Logano by about a quarter. Could be a slow car on the bottom. That's what Josh Berry wants to run. Yeah, Dustin Haley staying out of harm's way, and that threesome closes up.
As you start to look at the lap times, I mean, the last time by, 2.5 tenths there. Larson over Bell.
Eric Jones back in the race. Back in 2011, Jimmy Johnson went 197 laps at Kansas. Kyle Larson has just led 199, make it 200, the most laps any driver has ever led in a race here.
Well, we've seen that happen with Kyle Larson in so many places that we've really, whether it's a short track, the super speedways that have probably been his weakness, but I think when you go to these mile and a halves at any other racetrack that we go to, at some point we've had the same conversation about Kyle Larson.
20 laps to go in Kansas, so in case you missed it, AJ Allmendinger blew up early. William Byron blew a tire, all in stage number 1. Now, we didn't get a caution for Byron. We continued on, and Larson won the stage, not only stage 1, but stage 2. Lap 194, Brad Keselowski running second, closing on the leader, lost a tire. Denny Hamlin had earlier lost his clutch, and here winds up the transmission and is out of the race. Kyle Busch in a 4-wide group of cars, bang, 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 and Busch goes for a wild slide, does a great job of missing the inside wall. But he is now 23rd. Then this multi-car wreck at lap 213. Bubba Wallace out of the race. And Daniel Suarez. Ty Dillon out, along with Hamlin, Keselowski, and Allmendinger. 21 cars on the lead lap right now.
Josh Berry's on the move.
I know we don't live in a what-if world, but I promise you, all those crew chiefs on pit road are thinking, what if the call sheet comes out? Because right now, we've got 30-plus laps on these tires, 18 laps.
Think you have to pit?
I think we've crossed the threshold of anybody staying out and get that call.
Yeah.
But I think the debate will be 2 tires or 4 tires. Go back to this race
True.
a year ago. It was cool. It was at night. 50 laps on their tires. The call sheet came out that sent us in overtime. The top 3 did 2 right side tires only. I think that's going to be a tough decision if we get this late race caution.
So, Larry, you don't see it often in the Cup Series, but all of the difficulties this weekend have been with rear tires. Is there any chance you come in like the modified guys do and just change rears?
I never say never. You've told me that in 25 years, but we haven't seen that since Marksville about 30 years ago when Harry Hyde did it.
That's right. Well, who knows? I don't know. What do you think, fellas? Would you want 2? Would you want 4? You got 21 cars on the lead lap, so that's 10 rows of cars on the restart. You're going to fan out 4 wide. Well, before you go there, if I'm Larson, I don't want a caution of anybody else. I want a caution or an opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that the big thing is on the restarts when you have those 2 tires. And like Larry said today, I mean, it's warmer. We have a lot of laps on those left side tires. So how does it fire off? That's really the big thing that the 4 new tires do. But I always wanted 4.
This is a day of what could have been for this 21 Wood Brothers car. Those guys started last, drove up through the field more than once. Very impressed with this car. It's been that way all season long, Kevin.
It really has. And Josh Berry has done a great job with his team, and they've had plenty of speed in these cars. Now they just gotta close all these deals out. So last week leading the race, got over that bump in turn 3 and 4, spun out. So those mistakes are gonna happen. You're gonna learn. You're gonna mature. You're gonna start to really understand what you need to be doing. But the biggest thing that they have is speed, and that is the part that is always the hardest to find.
Eric Jones returns to the garage and out of the race. We did not get that car up to minimum speed after making repairs, so the AdventHealth car is parked for the day. 13 laps to go. For Kyle Larson, this is the 3rd of 11 straight days he'll be in a race car.
Wow.
Between the Cup car, the Indy car, and the high limit sprint car. He is racing all around the country over the next 11 days.
That's just a normal week. That's just what Larson does. He goes, races anything that he can get in.
Kokomo, Indiana, and the sprint car tomorrow night, and then it's off to Indy.
Well, here's Friday night right down the road at Lakeside.
Maybe. Started pole there, didn't it?
Well, he finishes with one on his roof. Well, watch this. Rico Abreu to the inside of Kerry Matson. They get together. That's Larson's brother-in-law, sweet flipping. Larson slid into Matson. Heavy green damage. No, that was sweet. There's Larson. Good old racetrack right there, Kevin.
Yeah.
A lot of good memories at that place.
I had a friend who called me and said, go drive my car, and I looked like a fool. A complete fool over there one night, but I won't mention any names, but he's standing pretty close to me.
And here's Larson's schedule for the next couple of weeks, culminating with the Indy 500 and Coca-Cola 600, both on May 25th. Memorial Day weekend double.
Yeah, Larson's going to be busy. Good propaganda for that upcoming Indy double, as if he can win this final points race for the NASCAR Cup Series leading up to the Indy 500 Coke 600 double here in 2 weeks. Obviously, the All-Star race, the next points paying race, or non-points paying race, is next week. So the next points paying race won't be until the Coke 600 in a couple of weeks' time. Kyle Larson's got a 2.1 second lead still over Christopher Bell. He's 4.2 seconds ahead of Alex Bowman in 3rd. Ryan Blaney is currently putting up a battle with Bowman for that 3rd spot with 10 laps remaining in the race. Make it 9 at the line. Blaney on the inside, Alex Bowman on the outside. Again, battle for 3rd. Ryan Blaney not going to be able to clear Alex Bowman through turns 1 and 2. They're going to be side by side down the back straightaway. Big run for Bowman on the high side. Blaney trying to side draft. Nearly makes contact with Alex. Pretty intense battle going on here. It's an extra point on the line to the end of the race, and you never know if a caution comes out. That's 1 spot higher in the running order, leading into pit stops. And who knows what could happen from there. So that's why these guys are going at it as hard as they are right now for 3rd. Blaney finally clears Bowman after running side by side for a little bit more than a lap. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Christopher Bell still 2.1 seconds behind Larson. Pretty much matching lap times back and forth for the most part between the 5 and the 20, which is what Kyle Larson needs to do to hold on to the lead that he currently has. Tyler Reddick just passing Zane Smith, who was in the top 10 for most of the day, but it fell back to 18th in the running order here in stage 3. Carson Hocevar loses a spot to Noah Gregson on this lap as well. Hocevar was as high as 7th on this last restart. He's very slow. He's got a problem. Hocevar is very slow on the racetrack. Just lost 3 spots at one corner, and he's still losing time down the front stretch. Just outside the points cutoff line for the playoffs coming into this one, so being in the top 10 and now having an issue. Tough break for Carson Hocevar. We'll see if he can stay on track as we continue to stay green with 5 laps left this time by. Corey Heim up to 13th in his 4th career Cup start, first of 2025. Doing a great job in that 2311 Toyota, the number 67 car here this afternoon. Great job by Corey. Battling currently for that 13th place spot with Todd Gillen in the 34. Showing a replay of a pass that happened for 4th. Alex Bowman had scrubbed the wall on the exit of turn 4, lost another spot to Chase Briscoe. Bowman now falls to 5th. Josh Berry, meanwhile, is up to 6th place, but he's 7 seconds behind where Alex Bowman's at, so he's probably not going to catch him. Showing a replay of why Carson Hocevar was slow, and that's because he got up against the wall. And it looks like he's got a tire going down as the leaders all raced by him that last time by. JGR Toyota of Ty Gibbs running the outside of the racetrack, going to make things a little harder for Kyle Larson to try to put him another lap down, while the second place JGR car of Christopher Bell still tries to close. With the flat tire for Carson Hocevar, he does get back to pit road, and we do stay green with 3 laps remaining in the race. Good to see there. Larson's desperately waiting for that white flag as soon as he possibly can. He'll be headed to 2 to go at the start-finish line this time by. Lead is still 1.7 seconds. 2 laps. Josh Berry's up 11 positions from the restart to get to 6th. Following a penalty that happened a couple of restarts before the final one. Down the home stretch. Great job staying out of trouble and all the carnage that was happening around him in the middle of the pack. Corey Heim is back to 14. Todd Gillen actually just passed Chase Elliott for 12th as well, as he's trying to get up into the top 10 before the end of the race. I don't think he's going to catch Cindric ahead of him. He's still a few seconds back. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go for Kyle Larson. First time anybody has ever led more than 200 laps at Kansas in a NASCAR Cup Series race. Larson has done just that. And as he circuits off of turn 2, down the back straightaway into 3, he's done a great job for himself. Can coast his way to victory from here. That's why he's not even running the wall on the final lap. He ran the middle line through 1 and 2, 3 and 4, backed way out of it. Checkered flag waves, and Larson is a winner here today at Kansas. Christopher Bell comes home second, a margin of victory, 1.3 seconds for Larson. Ryan Blaney in third at 1.9 seconds off the lead. Then Chase Briscoe fourth, 6.1 seconds back. Alex Bowman rounds out the top 5 in 5th. Josh Berry brings it home 6th. Ryan Preece 7th. Chris Buescher 8th. Joey Logano 9th. And John Hunter Nemechek squeaks in with a top 10 in 10th. 11th for Austin Cindric. Todd Gillen in 12th. Chase Elliott 13th. 14th for Corey Heim. And Noah Gragson 15th. 16th for Zane Smith. Tyler Reddick 17th. Ross Chastain 18th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 19th. And Shane Van Gisbergen in last car in the lead lap in 20th. 2 laps down for Kyle Busch in 21st. Actually, 1 lap down for Kyle Busch in 21st. Austin Dillon ends up just behind him in 22nd. Michael McDowell 23rd. William Byron 24th. And Cole Custer 2 laps down in 25th. Carson Hocevar 26th after running 7th with a handful of laps to go. Had the flat right front tire, unfortunately. Riley Herbst 27th place finish. Ty Gibbs 28th, Jesse Love 29th, and Cody Ware 30th. Justin Haley 31st, Eric Jones 32nd, Bubba Wallace 33rd, Daniel Suarez 34th, Ty Dillon 35th, Denny Hamlin 36th, Brad Keselowski 37th, AJ Allmendinger rounds out our 38-car field. 9 drivers, check that, 7 drivers DNF'd in this race today. Had 4 cautions for incident in Stage 3. Only 1 of them in Stages 1 and 2 combined, and that was back on lap 7 with the A.J. Allmendinger engine failure in Stage 1. Stage yellows at lap 80 and lap 165, equated for 7 cautions total, 15 lane changes, and 37 laps ran under the yellow. 3 hours, 5 minutes, and 12 seconds total time on the race today, and we finished under the regulation length of 267 laps and 400 miles. Again, margin of victory for Kyle Larson. It was checked at 1.3 seconds, but apparently now it is adjusted to 0.7 of a second on our leaderboard is a margin of victory there, and that is because Kyle Larson backed it way off on that final lap. That last lap of the race, Christopher Bell was about 0.7 of a second quicker than Kyle Larson. Got to the white flag, and he was going to make sure he was not going to do anything to hurt the race car coming back to the finish. He just got done burning it down. Now we get an interview with our race winner here today. Again, Kyle Larson at the Kansas Speedway.
Chase Elliott had a chance. A bad pit stop took him from contention. While Christopher Bell closing in at the finish. But there is your Kansas winner, Regan Smith.
Well, Kyle Larson, in what was an absolutely dominant performance, Kyle. He had control of the race for the majority of it. Did lose control briefly for a moment there towards the end after the final pit stop, and then a long run at the end. How much were you managing the tires and managing the race at the end there?
Yeah, I was trying really hard to pace myself because I believe that was our longest run of the day. And I had been struggling a little bit at the end of the runs. Chase is really good. And so I felt like I just needed to try to be better, on my end. And I don't know if it was paying off or not at the end. I was still struggling. I don't know if the right front was starting to, wear a lot or what, but I was starting to lose a lot of grip. And then I was vibrating really bad. So I was afraid of right rear or something would let go. So but yeah, great car, great execution today too for our team. Thanks to Intercars.com, Valvoline, Prime, all you race fans too for coming out. This is awesome weather to get to watch a cool race. So glad to not win by an inch right here this time and a little bit safer gap. But thanks again to the team. Congrats to all Hendrick Motorsports, the engine shop, everybody there.
You start what is the middle, or you're in the middle of what is a very busy month of May for you right now. To have this momentum and carry it the rest of the way through, how does that help?
Yeah, I don't know. It's got to help a little bit, but it's so different at Indy, and the cars are different. But yeah, I look forward to getting there. We're gonna fly there tonight, celebrate with Caitlin. Happy Mother's Day, Caitlin! All the moms out there, my mom especially. So yeah, it's a cool win here in Kansas, and now we'll try to execute 2 good weeks there at Indy.
Kyle Larson, your winner at Kansas on Mother's Day.
And Christopher Bell finishes second, his best effort ever at Kansas. Those closing laps, we just heard Kyle say he was struggling. Do you feel like if you had a couple more laps, you may have had something for him?
Well, I was surprised that he kind of gave up on the top those last couple of laps and pulled down, but I was struggling just as bad as he was, so I was just trying to get to the end. I know Ryan was coming on really, really strong there. So overall, to get home second with a lot of stage points was something that we needed after the last couple of weeks. And this Reese's Camry was just not quite what we needed. I don't know. I feel like our day was kind of a product of qualifying well, having good pit stops, having good restarts, and nothing really took us out of it. So I don't know. Whenever the green flags, the long green flag runs came, it seemed like we were going backwards, and there were a couple of guys that could drive by us. So yeah, to walk out of here second, I'm really happy with, and hopefully we can be a little bit stronger when we come back.
Well done. It's Christopher Bell, Mike.
Thanks, Jake.
All right, we went through all of the race finishing results already. Only other stat line that I want to drop is the fact that Kyle Larson did have a max points day today, 61 points. He had the Xfinity fastest lap bonus point award, a 30.288 on his fastest lap, all the way back on lap 2. He won both stages and won the race, so 61 points. And Kyle Larson will be the new points leader over William Byron, who doesn't score a single stage point today and finishes 24. So that'd be 18 points for Byron to 61 for Larson. Larson came in minus 13 on the day. So Larson's going to have a pretty decent cushion over Byron going into the Coke 600 here in a couple weeks. Again, non-points paying race next week at North Wilkesboro. As far as the rest of this stream goes, we'll go over the Fantasy League. You can join the NASCAR Fantasy League on the NASCAR mobile app or NASCAR.com website. Chance to win 2 tickets to any NASCAR Cup Series race if you're choosing, excluding the Daytona 500 the following season if you win our regular season and or playoff championship. So with that being said, the name of the league is KRC League. I'll put that in the chat down below. KRC space capital L on League. And that is the league name. I'll show you how to get there. I'm on NASCAR.com right now, so I can show you on screen. There is a fantasy tab up towards the top of the screen. I'll click on that. And then the fantasy live on the left side is where you'll want to click there. My team today was Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher, and Christopher Bell. Unfortunately, I left points in the garage, but Tyler Reddick didn't score any stage points. Is outside the top 10 all day, so that's why I put him in the garage in substitution for the other 5. But with Denny Hamlin having the transactional failure after problems with the clutch before that, leaving pit road, car stalled out on him, car broke, metal on metal grinding with the gears, just wasn't working out too well for him there, and ended up DNFing. So not a good run for Hamlin, but the rest of the team pretty solid. Otherwise, of the other 4, bonus points were pretty solid. Well, 2 for 4 of the bonus points. I had Bowman beating Bubba Wallace, Reddick over Chastain, and the 2 that I missed, I had Elliott over Logano, which was not correct, and Hamlin over Bell, which again was not correct with Hamlin DNFing, Bell finishing in 2nd. Our league winner this week at Kansas Speedway for the spring date, we got a tie for the win between P-Shat Motorsports and CRN Corona. Each of those 2 entries finishing with 259 points, so congratulations to you guys for winning this weekend at Kansas Speedway. Evan 4848 finishes with 239 points in 3rd. Inside Uranus 238 in 4th. And I ended up rounding out the top 5 in a tie with Charn 60 at 216 points. Ryan Blaney, who finished 3rd, is standing with Josh Sims. Lost my control.
Overall, good day. I think we were 3rd in both stages and finished 3rd. And honestly, we're kind of running those guys down quick there at the end, the last handful of laps. And I just kind of restarted too far back and had to make up a lot of ground. It took a while for my car to come in. I think 5 more laps, I probably would have scared the 5 a little bit, at least. But I'm really proud of the 12 boys today. Appreciate the Worth group being on board, Ford, Menards, Body Armor, Dex Imaging. Everybody, really good last couple weeks. Bringing fast race cars. Hopefully we can continue to do that, keep learning, and move forward. But overall, a really good weekend.
Strong day for Ryan Blaney and this 12 team.
All right, that's going to wrap up today's live commentary stream of the AdventHealth 400 at Kansas Speedway. Live commentary coverage continues on Friday next weekend. NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying for the All-Star race at North Wilkesboro will be on a Friday rather than a Saturday. That's because they'll have heat races on Saturday along with the pit road / pit stop competition. So that will be taking place Saturday. Practice and qualifying will be on Friday. And I'll have the start times posted for you guys next week because I'm not sure on all the start times with the pit road competition and everything else to go into that off the top of my head right now, because I know that NASCAR.com is not showing that on their website until after the race is done today, and then they go to have that up in the community tab. But plan on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday live commentary streaming next weekend. As far as, again, practice qualifying goes, Friday for the Cup Series. Truck race is at 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. That I can confirm on the start time. So 1:30 p.m. Eastern Saturday will be the truck race. And then again, the heat races, the pit road competition, I believe, will be later on after the truck race. As far as the Cup Series on Sunday goes for the All-Star race, we'll have 2 separate live streams. We'll have live commentary on the Open, the All-Star Open, excuse me. And then the main event All-Star race afterwards. Again, 2 separate streams, just like we've done the last couple of years on the channel for the All-Star race. No major pre-race for that show, with it being a non-points paying event. So no fantasy next weekend, off week there. Thank you all for watching so much. Thank you all for watching, and thank you so much for watching. Happy Mother's Day again out there to all the moms that might have been tuned in. Make sure, if you haven't said Happy Mother's Day to your moms so far, it is getting pretty late in the evening. Be sure to do so. And hit the like button. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We hit 63 likes as of right now on the stream. Didn't get to our goal today. Hopefully we can get there in the aftermath of the stream. And I'll see you guys next weekend. All-Star, North Wilkesboro Speedway. Should be a fun time. Have a good night, everybody.